All right, Emmanuel, welcome. Thank you for coming, my
Hey,
friend.
thanks
I
for
know how
inviting
busy you are.
me.
Of course, you were like one
Yeah,
of the top people on the list.
I feel bad because we always have a great schedule, and then I'm over here telling you I'm gonna be late. But
I
I
know.
made it. I made it.
I
A
know.
little bit late, but I was able to make it.
Well, I'm glad you're here. And so to all the new listeners, and the reason, and we've been talking about this for
Hmm.
years now. At this point, I wanted to start this podcast because these are the conversations that I wish I could hear, when I was starting up. Because the real truth is, over all these courses that are available online, you can learn so much from people in the industry or around the industry who are actually in it instead of, just
Yeah,
trying to sell a course. So you were one of the first people, I wanted to have on here because I think you have great insights. So thanks for coming, like I
yeah.
said.
Thank you for thinking
And
about me.
if not, like I said, we'll jerk around for 2 hours, but
Yeah.
hopefully people will learn something out of it. I mean, I don't know.
Hmm.
What do you think?
No, I think this is great to have that conversation, and I think it was very when I was getting really into this career, just seeing what people were talking about online, and then just kind of basing off what you want to do in your career based off what other people's experience. I think it helps a lot because sometimes you think you want to do something and you don't realize the hassle behind it.
Exactly. Like I said, it's easier when we do it all together, right?
Yeah.
We learn from each other because there's so many mistakes that I wouldn't have made had I known about it.
Hmm.
Had somebody been there, like, hey, don't do this, or
Yeah.
this at least I found was a waste of time.
Yeah.
So now that I love that. What about what we have is a community of creators, so you can actually share ideas, you can bounce
Yeah.
ideas
We have a
each
group
other.
chat. We all talk. Sometimes we have movie nights too
Yeah,
when there's a good movie that comes out.
yeah, Oppenheimer.
Yeah. We had
I
a whole
remember that,
Oppenheimer night.
dude.
Yeah.
My eyes are. We went to what IMAX. My eyes were like literally like that was so bright,
That
flashing. I
explosion
was
was
like,
just like that knocked us out for
I
sure.
was like, am I gonna have my vision left when I go back?
Yeah, we were pretty close to the screen.
Yeah.
We were breaking our necks looking up there.
Yeah, that was definitely fun. But yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. We have a, I think, great community at this point. But I want to ask you, like, what makes you want to do video? Like,
It's
why
always
video?
it's always funny because I feel like it slowly changes over the years. Because I feel like I don't know if other people get this. Maybe it's like ADHD. Maybe it's like some
Mm.
people have it. Maybe they don't. But when I first started, I got obsessed with wanting to do movies. So I had zero experience. I was in my last year of college, and I was just a lifeguard. And I bought a camera. I bought I think I bought an M50, and I was like, I want to make as many movies as I can. I want to do this. I know it's gonna be a grind for a few years. I just want to make as many stories as I can. So I found Facebook groups. Talked to as much people as I could. I begged people to have me on their sets, and I worked on I think the first year I worked on 12 sets. Then the following year I worked on like 10, and then a little bit less and less until you find out all right, like if I'm doing this full time, I want to make money.
Hmm.
Let's figure out how I can make money, and then you figure out where your city, what
Hmm.
video your city does the most. In Orlando, it's I think weddings are really popular here in Orlando. I think real estate's really popular here in Orlando, and then corporate's really popular here in Orlando.
And
And
conferences.
conferences, yeah, a lot of conferences. I always call that corporate too, but I know that's kind of like its own corporate
Yeah.
event type of situation. So then it's like, okay, well, I'm not gonna move to LA. It's in the middle of COVID.
Hmm.
That's not a great plan. What do I want to do? What I want to focus on? So I did video for a few years and just trying to figure out what's my niche. And then I think now in 2025, I'm more in the commercial space, commercial and corporate space, and I'm comfortable with that. And I enjoy doing that type of work.
And you know what I find interesting about it? I think you're the only person I know that does this. You're always shooting something, whether you're
Mhm.
getting paid or not. You're
Yeah.
shooting something.
Just,
You're the only guy on that who's just like, oh, I'm shooting this for a client, or
mhm.
hey, let's go film a commercial for a watch, or let's
Mhm.
go do something with the models or
Yeah.
something. You're always shooting, which
Mhm.
basically is what we all want to do.
Yeah.
So you're definitely passionate about it.
Yeah. It's always that thing of like, I have one of my friends, Fernando. We always talk about this, and he said this one thing that I always think of when I get frustrated. It's like if you want to do what pays the most, it's not filmmaking. You can do a bunch of things that you can get paid
Mm.
for a lot. Don't get me wrong, in the top tier filmmaking and movies or top agency commercials, you can make a lot of money, but you can make a lot more money doing like 20-30% of other things. There's a lot of things that you can make a lot more money than this, like, especially starting off. A lot of this starting off is just doing it for free or doing it on the side. But you're doing it because you like doing it. You like the process. You like getting a result you like. So might as well do it. And if you keep doing it and you keep having fun, it's not gonna feel like a chore. Like, yeah, I want to make money, but I want to have fun.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't always get the chance of having the
Mm-hmm.
funnest or
Yeah.
the most fun time on a shoot. Sometimes it's like a talking head.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, it's fun, making sure the lights are great, but then you have one setup and then you sit there for like 3 hours, 4 hours. Or you have to do an event where it's just all like doctors talking about surgeries and you're just capturing that. But you're like, I'm having fun because it looks great, but I'm not telling a story,
Mm-hmm.
which is how I started off with just wanting to tell a story. But everything has their own niches, and then each niche has their own thing that you can get passionate about.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's just keep doing it every day. I do need to do it more often. I think that the past 3 months, it's just been family time and fixing up the studio and planning what's gonna happen for 2025. But I was planning on doing a spec shoot, hopefully in the next month or so.
Look at you. Yeah. Talk about studio, by the way. So you started
Yeah.
a studio. What's the name of it again?
So I own Studio 124. It's here in near downtown Orlando on East Colonial, and it's a 400 or 600 square foot photo and video studio. We have a cyc wall, paper backdrops, bunch of different movable backdrops as well.
Pitch mode, Emmanuel.
Yeah, full pitch. If you guys need models, if you guys
Hey, we don't
some
peddle
photo shoots.
anything on this podcast, but okay. No, for real. I mean, it's a really nice space. I mean, if
Yeah.
somebody needs a space, I mean, I see the use of it.
Yeah.
What I find, what I want to know, and I'm sure the people listening would want to know, is the economics of it. Because for years I wanted to build a studio, right?
Yeah.
I think we've talked about. I was like, my dream would be build an office, maybe shared space, have
Mhm.
psych wall, maybe have this, and you're one of the crazy ones. You went out and did it.
Yeah.
But for me, I could never make the numbers work
Yeah.
because most of my shoots are travel or on location because corporate and commercial work.
100%.
What made you want to leap into it, and how did you see the future ROI, or what? How did you justify the financial of it?
So I talked to a lot of friends that own studios as well, because I was thinking about the same thing. I was like, is this even something financial? Is this something where you can make money off of? And the straight answer is, if this is your main source of income, then having a rental studio isn't going to be what pays the bills. Especially in downtown Orlando, there's like in a 10, 15 mile radius, there's like 20, 30 studios. So if you want your main revenue to be, hey, let's just rent out the space and just sit there and do nothing, you're not going to be making that much money in the long run. But my main source of income is freelance DPing, and then I have a production company. I have Adapt Media with my friend Fernando, and we do more commercials or corporate work that's slightly larger. I wouldn't say crazy large scale. It's more like on the middle budget, low budget for agencies or brands. And then my main thing is just getting hired out to go. Either I fly out, I do DP work, and then boom, I have the studio. Where I have the studio, people come, they rent it out. We have pop-up photo shoots. We're actually doing a masterclass tomorrow. That's going to be our first masterclass, where we have somebody come in, they do a session. And our goal wasn't necessarily to make, let's make a bunch of money. Our goal was like, hey, let's have a creative space for us to be creative. Kind of like how you said, like, hey, I like to do fun shoots just to do shoots. That was kind of like the basis of making that. And then I have 2 partners with it, which kind of helps us. Hey, I'm not spending all the rent myself. I have 2 other people that help me with the rent, 2 other people that use it. And these 2 other people are more photographer based. And then they can use it, because as videographers, I get hired, I go somewhere else. I don't go to like my own, studio for shoots, because mostly it's someone's office, outside, a conference center. So it's not always, it's not something that I've used for my specific work a lot, but it's a place where I use for like my meetings, where I have my meetings with my 2 other coworkers. And then we just plan stuff for the studio and just have people come into the studio, use the studio, have the space, have fun. And this is our first 6 months using it. So our goal is to see how it goes, grow it, see how we can, I guess, like we want to have like a little creative hub for people to come in and just do use creativity with their photos, and then us help and just slowly create a little community around, video and photo.
That's incredible. No, I think that's a smart move, because now you're splitting rent 3 ways, right? So the cost to go into it is a third. And then on top of that, like you said, it's a space, right? It's your space. That's where you can be creative. You can have meetings. You're not doing that in your apartment, in your home, right? So it makes absolute sense to me.
Yeah.
I'm just happy that you're the crazy enough person
Yeah.
out of all of us
To
to go and
just-
actually do it.
to just throw money at something
Yeah.
and see if it sticks.
Yeah.
And we're excited. We had a meeting today, and we're actually super excited about how we want to scale it. I think the first 6 months was, all right, does this work? Can we do it? We would have rented out a few times. We were able to have some pop-up photo shoots. We did a dog one, we did a Halloween one, and we know it can work. And now the goal is, all right, how can we implement it? And the funny thing about being, I would say, like a video, or a lot of people just call it entrepreneur now, it's like, now you have to do more business than the video side. I usually get stuck on meetings or trying to get clients or trying to get, bigger packages. And sometimes I end up doing that more than the video itself. So you go into just thinking you're going to do video, but then you have to manage, you got to figure out how to do marketing, SEO. You have to do all that talk. And then the video aspect, which is what I got in there for, becomes a smaller and smaller piece of the pie.
That's what happened. Sounds about that means you're getting successful.
Yeah.
So did you have your first 6-figure year last year? I think you were busy.
I think.
Did you get there, or you close, or you're ahead of
check.
it?
I think I
You
was
didn't
pretty.
check your numbers? That's the first thing people do, right?
I wanted to close my eyes because I had 2 weeks with the family, and I just closed my eyes. But I think I think either I'm there, or I was about to hit 6 figures this year.
That's awesome, man.
My last 6 months were very, very busy. My first 3 months were slow of 2024, and then I just went straight from there.
Yeah, because every time I asked you I mean, we did do a decent amount of projects together, but you were usually busy, which is a good sign. That means, things are great, which is incredible. I'm so happy for you. I mean, like I said, you have a studio, you're successful DP, you're doing great. I mean, what's next then? I mean, at this point.
I'm not trying to do anything too crazy other than oh my God. I think to throw a little bit of criticism on myself, I like juggling too much. And I think now that I'm juggling a good amount of stuff.
How many are you juggling? Huh?
So I have Eman Films with my full freelance. I do full freelance with that. Adet Media, where we do commercials, and we're going out to try getting more clients with that. And then the studio, where we're having a studio rental space where people can come in. We have our photographers there to do that work. We're trying to do master cuts there. So the goal is now, it's like I scale these and make these a little bit more successful, or more work with freelancing, and then more projects with the production studio, and then more people using the rental space. And then from there, we'll see what we can add. And I'm not even gonna jump in my personal life of how. Then that's a whole nother crazy ball of yarn that I'm trying to compact. And it's always crazy how, like, what you think you want when you first start, then like the bar keeps going up. I was like, oh, I remember it was like 2020, because 2020 was like the first year I started. Like the C70 came out, and I was like, oh, if only I could have that camera. I got that camera last year, and I'm just like, all right, if only I get this, and then now if only I get this, set of lighting, if only I get this. The bar's always going higher and higher. So I think it's just kind of like, taking everything one step at a time, and then really, like, my goal, I think this year is just trying to scale what I have right now, and make sure, like, I don't really care that, like, hey, great, look, I have these 3 things, but I want them to be successful. I want the 3 things to be successful. And just, put time into that, and just do more commercial. Because out of all the things I do, my favorite thing to do is like brand films, like brand commercials, like something that like tells a story, like very visually appealing. And I know sometimes, as videographers, we don't always get to do that. A lot of times I do a lot of social media content, a lot of vertical content, which is still like very, I don't do like, GoPro run around. I set up talking head, lighting, do all that stuff that we all get used to doing. But then it's standard, it's basic, you get so used to that. So you want that little creative edge. So I think we all have our goals. I think my goal for 2025 is just get, growing more income in those 3 aspects, and just getting more projects like that, getting more gigs. And then also, like, on my personal life, enjoy some aspects.
Don't enjoy too much.
Because you get so stuck in this world that you kind of live in the world of like video, growing or selling or doing this. It kind of, I think a lot of people can admit, once you do this for a while, it kind of eats at your personal life.
I mean, but I think that's with any entrepreneur, right? You have to be crazy enough to first want to do it,
Mhm.
and then you have to do it all the time. So you just
Yeah.
become like that becomes you,
Exactly.
and then you don't want it to blend into your personal life because last thing you want to do is go to your significant other or your friends and then be talking about video, and especially if they don't give a shit about video, and then you're like,
Mhm.
you know, they don't want to hang out with you anymore, and then you
Yeah.
figure out, you're the problem.
You're that guy that's always blabbering about his video thing or this or that. And then even funny enough, like when you start making more and more money with this, when you're an entrepreneur, at least how me and a bunch of the people I've known, great, you get all this money that you thought you'd never get, but now it's right back to the business. So it's like, great, I got, more money than I thought I was gonna get 2 years ago. Well, that's going straight back into the credit cards I bought, all the studio costs, all this, all that. So it's like it puts everything in perspective. I don't think I still feel as rich as I was when I was poor, but it's just kind of like you just allocating money for your business. Now this is like an engine you have to take care of to make sure you get more money. So it's it's always life's an interesting way where like I'm doing what I love and I'm happy and I'm super fortunate that this is my full-time thing. But you always gotta be I guess put everything in perspective and be like, hey, this is something I'm privileged to do and I am doing.
No, that's my thing. I've learned and I finally accepted you can never have enough money because especially with video business. Because what happens is like you said, initially I was like, oh, if I could only have so much money, like I don't know, a few $1,000s every shoot, I'm gonna have so much money. But then you forget shoots that pay more, right? They require more expenses. You got to get more crew, or you got to get more equipment. You got to get more education,
better SD cards, better batteries,
better everything,
cameras.
right? Better, and then next thing you know, your costs are so high, and then you're like, oh, but once I have everything, I'll be good. But then you realize, oh, these cameras no longer relevant. This lighting is older now. Like everything's like getting older, so it needs to be replaced, and you got to be updating it. And then the higher you charge, the more you gotta spend, so you can never have enough. So sure, you're making double, but now your expenses double.
Yeah, now
so,
your expenses double. Yeah, exactly.
So you're just anyway.
Oh my god,
man.
Oh my god.
I mean, I wouldn't do anything else, but yes, this is crazy.
How do you feel about? I know you're more of the person that loves, you're more up to date on the tech and stuff like that. I used to be, but then I've noticed like the more time I spent researching tech, than the less time I was making money using the tech I already had. So right now I've tried staying away from like the YouTube videos of brand new equipment dropped this or brand new that.
Yeah, no, that's actually very smart. No, and see, that's what I want people to know. Do as I say, not as I do. But I'm at least aware of it. I do love gear. I do love technology, and plus I have this obsessive personality, and that's what separates me. Right? Like we all are good technicians. We all make great stories. So I think what separates me, and I've kind of accepted it after years of knowing what I do different. I'm obsessed about video production. So I have this thing in me that I have to know about everything, right? What's new in the industry? Like we tested earlier last year, the whole reflective lighting thing. I went to
K Flow, right?
I went the Godox kit,
K1 kit,
the K1 light flow kit. I think is the thing, but I went on multiple sets. I would hire graphers, and they would have the CRLS panels, and I was like, holy crap, this is great. I want to learn it. And then I went all over, and not only on the top, I would be the one. It's so funny. I'm supposed to be doing something else on the set. I'd be on the side, like, hey, so what do you think about these panels? Like, why are you using them? Because and stuff like that. And then it's just this inner thing in me to want to learn everything. And what I love about this industry is you can never know everything. So I'm always like,
you're always learning.
I'm always waking up every day going, I don't know about this. I don't know about this, but which is good. That means it keeps me, because somebody like me,
it keeps you in an industry where you're always, you have something to feed on. You're always eating. You're always growing.
Exactly. Because when I used to have jobs, the biggest thing I hated was if I didn't have a promotion in 4 to 6 months, I was done. Yeah. Like I have this thing. I have to do something new.
You have to keep growing,
And then with video now, the good thing is I'm going 14 years into it, and I haven't yet wanted to quit. And I think that's what it is. It's because there's so much happening, so much news, so much change, and the people who don't, keep up with. Obviously, you don't have to keep up at the obsession level, but you have to keep up. Otherwise, you're going to be left behind because technology's change, and if you are not there, guess what? You're gonna be dinosaur, and the asteroid's gonna come for you.
100%, yeah.
So I that's actually to me a positive of the industry, but a negative for my personality. That I spend way too much time testing and working. But I think that, like I said, I think is a competitive advantage when somebody tells me a problem, I generally know how to solve it, and it's because I freaking know about so much stuff.
He does.
Then
I've called them on. I've called them on set.
oh really?
Hey, this doesn't
Yeah.
work. This thing I rented from you. What's going on?
Yeah, exactly. I should stop renting you things. I'm like, where's my ROI if I'm doing tech support on the call? But no, anything for you. But no, that's what I'm saying. I just love it. I'm just so glad I'm lucky enough to be able to make a living from it. But like you said, the lesson here is to make a living from it, I had to let the business person Vipul Bindra come out and succeed, not the creative. And not saying that I can't be creative. I still get to be creative. I still get to do all the fun stuff. But when you have to make money, you have to treat it like a business. It cannot, because as a creative person, you just go, oh, you only have $100 on the set, but this movie sounds really exciting. Let me be on it, right?
I've always wanted to do this. I've always wanted to film this.
I've always wanted to put my C70 on a car and drive it, right? You know what I mean?
Oh my God.
Anyway, I'm just trying to be you. Anyway, but what I'm saying is like that's kind of what I think most creative brains go. They just go, I just want to do it, and I'll
do it to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, and then that's why they realize, oh crap, I'm not making any money. I can't pay my bills. I have to go get a regular job, and then leave this passion behind because you had it, like you said, treated like a business. You
have to at some point.
Yeah, you have to talk about revenue, your costs, your profits, your investments of gear, if it's even worth it. Because are you going to get your return back on what you're investing in it? Because you buy it, you don't use it, now it's worth half. Not worth it, type of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a whole freaking lesson, right?
Yeah.
And
then it's like you have to balance out that tightrope very carefully of like, hey, how creative can I be, and how much do I have to focus on business? And some people, they love the business aspect. I've known some creatives, even in the group, that like they love the business aspect of it, and that's amazing. And then some people that like it less. And I think you need to find, what fits your personality best, but also understand like, some parts will make you more money than others. You can be the best videographer, but if you don't know how to sell, then you can be on the most shoots, but you're not getting that money back because you didn't know how to rate yourself correctly. You don't know how to give yourself a day rate. You don't know how to what's it called, talk to the client about getting a good rate, or even packages or whatever.
Absolutely. And then there's the opposite side of it, right? Where you do get really good at selling, and then your technical skills are way, way far behind, where you went to a client, you pitch them a 30 grand project and somehow convince them you can do it. And then next thing you know, you show up with you and two of your buddies and you're like, all right, let's knock it out of the park. And then, it doesn't match up. I'm not saying it'll be a bad video, but it won't match up what the expectations are, right?
Or even you go to it to do the project and you just end up being a producer, which isn't bad if you love producing, great. But if you go into being one of the person that wants to create a commercial as a director or a DP or whatever, and then you're just not even doing it. You just, hey, I can't do this. I have to be selling. I've known and that's the thing too. Like sometimes you're on set and that you're on set losing money. Because you could be making the next sale, you could be making the next money. So it's just that thing. It's like you got to realize like what you want to do, and sometimes some positions, as an entrepreneur, you have to make the sale. Like there's been times where like there's 3 shoots on the same day. I got to hire 2 other people, and I can't even pick my favorite one. I got to pick the one that pays the most.
Exactly. And I mean, to be real, once you get to a certain scale, that's what the job is. It's puppet master, right? Where you just are out there doing the sales, managing the projects. You're not actually the guy doing anything creative. And a lot of people don't get this. They're like, oh, but, I could then be on set and do better than the puppet master. No, the reason people are willing to pay a guy at that scale, I'm saying, because, once you scale, you're the puppet master. And the reason people are willing to pay that much is because they want reliability. Yeah. When you are investing $50K to $100K, let's say on a corporate video budget, right? Yeah. You expect it to work. You expect it to be right. You can't risk that money. So you'd hire somebody for a fact they will make sure this is done how you want it done. And because, it's their head on the line, right? Exactly. But at the same time, they're not really doing much but being the puppet master. They're hiring the right people to execute on it. That's just the scale of our business. You know, you go from doing it to now just leading it, and then hiring the other technical
and hiring the skilled people to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think and then I think once you're doing it, you realize what you want to do. I think some people just don't want to be the puppet master because they enjoy the technical side so much. That's perfectly fine. Yeah.
It's just hard to make that much money.
Yeah,
doing
but
that.
then you cap yourself on how much money you can make.
Exactly.
I think you said this, like there's only 365 days out of the year.
Yeah.
If you have a day rate, you can only make this amount of money.
Yeah,
max.
times that. And then remember, most people also have to then remember in that math, there's travel days, usually half rate, right? Then there's prep days that are zero paid.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? Once you take that out, that's your cap. And then that is it. Like there is no more. And the only way you can scale that is by having other people work. Like I can be like, hey man, I'll go to do this project for me. Or like now, obviously that you don't make that much. Right? You can only pull a certain percentage, like 20 to 40% off of it. But now that's free money in a way, right? That's the scale basically. And then both of us are happy because you're like, hey, I got work. And then I'm like, oh, I got some percentage for managing this project.
Exactly, yeah.
And that's how I think it scales. But yeah, like you said, not everyone wants to be a puppet master.
Yeah.
And which is why they have a cap. And then they're like, how can I raise this cap? And it's like, it's going to be hard. At least being a technician, obviously, you can start a studio, or maybe you can open other avenues of income.
You do real estate on the side. I know a lot of.
I mean, at that point, video becomes just a hobby, right? Then what's the fun?
Well, I mean, if like you said, it's a hobby. But I mean, if you still make money off of it, it could be like, I don't know, a part-time job that you like to do.
Yeah.
If you really want to make more money and still stay as a technician.
I mean, it's possible, yeah. But my whole thing is, look, and I've said this a million times. I'll say it again. There is so much money to be made. Video works.
You make money, yeah.
There is nothing better. If you're passionate about it, I'm saying then make money. Yes, obviously there's easier ways to make money, but there's no reason you shouldn't be making money doing this. You just have to understand what people are willing to pay for. Yeah. And stop selling pretty videos, because I don't think that many people want to pay for pretty videos, especially as a brand.
Yeah.
What they want to pay for is videos that work.
Yeah.
So just start selling that. You know, start selling videos that actually work. And if you don't know how to make those videos, go meet people around you that know how to make those videos. Exactly. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's very simple. It's not a complicated process.
Yeah.
And I think money's there, because any brand, I will give it. I'm a video company and I'll pay you to make me a video that makes me more money. You know what I mean? Why wouldn't I?
I think the secret too is that I think a lot of people start, and I started with, hey, you're selling your business or your video to individuals. And then you realize when you ask for 1,000, 2K, 5K, 10K, it's coming out of their pocket, and they see it as a whole different thing when it's coming out of their pocket. But when you're talking to a brand, an agency, a company, that's the budget. That's just that's just a number, and that's for companies that even don't want to spend it, in their mind, it's like, it's just tax. Yeah. Like my taxes will take care of it. Boom, whatever. I want this. This is gonna grow my business, and it's more. It's easier to convince them. Not even convince them. It's just you're telling them how to make money. Yeah. Okay, do this video, and this video will get put this video in front of the clients you need, and then boom, your revenue is gonna go up. Yeah. Rather than, hey, a person that just wants like a photo for their family, or a photo for this, or a photo for that. And that's why like I don't really do that many. I don't think I've done videos for individuals like a year or two, just because you have to. It's that you're bashing heads on trying to I guess convince them that this is gonna grow something. But if they don't care about a company, they just want something personal. They're not gonna see the value in that.
Exactly. Now, how much I love making videos for individuals, not individual. I mean, like for business owners, because that's the most satisfying ones, because you can show them the results. I think the easiest way to make money is to go to brands where there's a marketing director or a marketing manager, somebody you can work with. Because I find is it's not their money. I hope that makes sense. Exactly. So a budget even doesn't make anything. Here's who your client is. Your client is that marketing director. What they want is your video to make them look good. So they're the hero in the story, right? So the point is, when you make that video, if that video makes a loss or it doesn't work for the client, whose head is on the table? That marketing person's. Yeah. So they want to hire whoever. They don't care about the money, even though they may say, "Oh, we only have this much budget." They want to hire the right person for the job that's going to get the best video done, that's going to get the results that they're looking for, which is going to make that person look like a hero to the boss or to the CEO or to the board or whoever.
Like, oh, this guy knows what he's doing. Exactly. That's all they see. They just see the marketing guy. Sometimes they didn't even meet the production company or the
Exactly. And that's, I think, what people need to do is find these people, build a relationship with them, make them trust you, and obviously keep that trust up. But the money doesn't matter because to these people, because it's not their money. They'll
Yeah.
write you any check as long as it gives the company enough ROI. Because remember, if they give you $1 million check, they better make $10 to $20 million off of it. Otherwise, it
not
doesn't
worth
matter.
it.
Yeah,
It's simple math.
But the certain thing where they're like, oh, this is our budget doesn't mean anything. I've had so many times clients tell me like, oh, we want to make a video, our budget is 10 grand. Right. And I start to ask them, I'm like, it sounds great. But then you start to ask the vision, oh, we want to hire actors. We want to do this. We want to do that. It's like, this is a huge production.
We want to have a 10-day shoot day, and we want to have special effects.
Yeah.
We want to hire Mark Hamill to be a cameo. I was like,
we want this specific song in it, from this famous artist, and then once you like figure that out anyway, like what their budget is, you have to then be like, look, this is how we can do it within your budget. This is how we can do it better and the correct way. But this is what the budget's going to have to be.
Yeah.
And then you draw the line right there because you're telling them the truth. And usually, in my experience, they come back.
Yeah.
And they'll say, okay, we'll do the right budget because we want to do it right.
And the biggest thing I've learned the hard way a few times is sometimes you want to please a client and you're like, this is a little bit. Sometimes it's just even a little bit below the budget. You're like, should I say something? Should I just bite it? Just bite my tongue and do a little bit of extra work to please them. This could be a good client. It always bites you in the butt.
Yeah,
always bites you in the butt. Even there was one time where I told this lady like, hey, like we don't really do motion graphics, but we'll do super super basic motion graphics for this. Even though the budget isn't even there, you're already paying because we had to pay a videographer and then we paid the whole editing. And then I went out of my way to do it myself. I'm not a motion graphics guy, but hey, I did a pretty decent job, basic motion graphics.
Yeah.
And then she was like, I don't really like it. Can you redo it and then do it like this? And she sends me a whole advanced motion graphics thing. And I was like, lady, I told you like this, you don't have the budget for this.
Yeah.
You have basic motion graphics. She was like, yeah, can you just slightly closer to this? I made it like 50% closer to that. Just because, like I said,
that's nice of you, but like you said, it ultimately came to buy you. She didn't get what she wanted.
She didn't get what I wanted.
You worked extra.
She didn't want to hire me again.
Yeah.
And it's just miscommunication. And sometimes you just have to say no before you even.
Yeah.
If you know that budget's not there, it's not even that you can't do it or not. Hey, I'm not a motion graphics guy. I know motion graphics people. They could easily have done it, but they're gonna charge double, triple.
Exactly.
And then the client starts. But then that's when you realize like that's not the client for you. Or they have to understand that they need that extra.
And sometimes it's out of your hand, though. So, for example, I had a situation earlier this year where I was working with somebody in the company, right? They were like, oh, we want you to record a speech. And I was like, what's the budget? Oh, we don't have one. You tell us. I'm like, well, what level of quality, right? I could do this for one person for a few thousand versus, 10 people for, 20, 30, 40,000. I don't know. I mean, I can make budgets, right? Depending on what they want. Anyway. So ultimately, I went with like 4 or 5 person crew, $6-7 grand. Like it was a very reasonable price, and that's editing too, multi-hour speech. Anyway, we executed the project, and I brought 2 extra cameras and 2 extra people than what I promised them. So I actually over delivered. So you would think the client should be happy, and the main guy who wasn't technically my client because I'm hired by one of the employees was not happy because their wardrobe was not great looking on camera the whole time. And this is a live audience speech. My crew can't stop them. We're just there to record a speech to a live audience. And they were upset about it, even though we had zero control over it. Even though I went above and beyond, there was a wardrobe issue that happened as he's giving the speech. And there's no way we could have done anything about it, honestly. And so there will be all of these circumstances where they're happy. At that point, all you got to do is customer service. So like, hey, it's not great, but there's nothing much that could have been done. However, for the next time, we could have a wardrobe person or whatever. But at the same time, I was like, you don't want to be interrupted, right? You're in your zone. You're giving your speech. You don't want somebody to be like, hold on, stop, like fix your. Unless it's something crazy, it's just a tiny little, thing that happens.
That's something as camera people, I'm pretty sure they didn't even notice.
Yeah, no.
Like camera people, as a camera guy, like I don't notice hair, I don't notice makeup.
Yeah,
I have to like really like ask myself. I was like, do they like this hair? And sometimes
you're focused on exposure and framing,
making
and,
sure the light rolls off the skin softly, making sure there's 3-point lighting, and making sure that the sky isn't blown out. I'm not making sure that you have a pimple on your left cheek. Like
that's why we have makeup artists, unsung heroes.
They specialize on that.
Yeah, exactly, and that's their job. And sometimes I get it. Now we do work corporate jobs where they that's one of the first things, right? Sound gets cut, makeup artist gets cut. It's like, okay, you're the DP, you're the
Yeah.
camera guy, you're the
DP, sound
gaffer, you're
guy, do
everything.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then those ones, guess what? Like then, there's not gonna be anyone to pay attention to those details. I mean, we can try a little bit, but there's a limit
Yeah.
to what you can
And
do.
then the client expects like, oh, like, well, you're doing all of it. You should know. I was like, well, you cut the budget in 2/3. This is the only guy that's this is the only guy that's here.
So what's your solution for that? What would you change to not have such
For the lower budgets or
or
like
just in general, just not have the miscommunication? Because I think the biggest thing to me, at least with Bindra Productions, if they're working with me, I want them to be happy, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, nothing's more important to me than my name and my brand, especially since I was stupid enough to put my name on the brand.
Yeah.
So, so to me, making the client happy is very important, but at the same time, sometimes what they're requesting is unreasonable. Like there's like, for example, the past example, there's no way to fix the pocket now in the past. And even the present, I'm just like trying to ask them, like, how could we have fixed it? It's alive. We're not even in front of the room. There's like hundreds of people, and then we're in the back of the room. So what's your perspective on that? Like, how do you?
I think there's a few steps. I feel like once you start, I think you should always once you have enough equipment, once you're comfortable with your skill set, you should have either an Excel sheet or a Google. I forgot what they call it on Google. What?
Google Sheet.
Google Sheet. Yeah. And just really nail down like what you're willing to work for. Like what's your, I guess, get out of bed money. Like, hey, this is what it's gonna take for me, at least me, bare minimum to go out and do a shoot. And then just depending on your clients, it's like, okay, what's the bare minimum to make that project happen? And my whole biggest thing is we get into this job because we enjoy doing it. We like doing it. We want to have good commercials. We want to have good event shoots, whatever you're doing. So if you have a budget that you feel like it's undervaluing you, don't do it, because then you're gonna do doesn't matter, like even if it's a good project or bad project, if you feel like you're undervalued, you're not gonna put the same energy. You're gonna go to it a little bitter. You're gonna go to a little bit annoyed. So guess what? I get it. Sometimes you gotta pay the bills. But in those circumstances, you're not gonna come in with the same energy. You're not gonna want to give 100%, knowing that you feel like you're getting taken advantage of. And then that second thing, it's like that communication of like sometimes you're gonna have to say no if you know that their budget just isn't there. And it sucks sometimes. And sometimes you're in that tough situation where like, damn, I gotta pay rent, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. Should I bend over backwards and know that this project isn't gonna, it's gonna be really, a lot of free hours, a lot of free man hours, especially if you're the name to get it done.
Yeah.
But then you're always gonna, the client's always gonna have an issue with it. If the budget's a problem, the client's always gonna have an issue with it. And that's something you learn over time when you try helping a client out, when you try doing a bunch of free hours of work. So I think my tip would just be like, hey, like if you know the client, just have your base of how much you feel, if you have the experience, how much you know it would take to do it. If not, make some calculations, put an extra 20-30% just in case. And if you can stay firm with that price and they say yes, hey, you're solid. You know you have the budget to do, and you have a couple percentage, 20-30% extra to make. If anything happens, you can make it happen. If it's underneath of what you don't think you can happen, I feel like unless you're willing to do, bend over backwards and do work that you're probably not going to be happy with, then the client's not really going to be happy, and that's a lose-lose. They lost, let's say the project's actually going to be like 12, 15, 20K, and then you say yes to like $3,000.
Yeah.
That's now in their mind, it's $3,000 that they wasted because they still didn't get the product that they wanted. So either they're going to waste $2,000 or they're not going to waste any money, or they're just going to hire somebody else and then get disappointed again. And that's even better for you sometimes. You say no, they go to somebody else, you get a disappointed job, and then they go back to you and be like, you know what, maybe $10,000 might be worth it.
Yeah.
If this was a product with $2,000 and then you could do that with $10,000.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's just,
in very similar vein, I think the biggest game changer for me, and again, silly word game changer was, but when I genuinely was like, I realized you don't need those projects anymore. Because what happens is, and I get this, the starving artist mindset. You've got bills, you've got rent, you got food, you got to buy, other expenses that you have. Then what happens is, even though, like you said, the budget isn't there, whatever, like, but most people end up taking it or at least negotiating something, whatever. But then
Mhm.
you're not bringing the energy, you're not doing the
Yep.
right. What I found, at least for me, was as soon as I got to a stage where it was like, okay, now I don't have to say yes. I can choose. I can say no.
Mhm.
I found that my business skyrocketed because now I was being fully upfront with people. Like they would tell me an idea and I'm like, hey, this can't be done. Right.
Mhm.
And most times people saw that, like they saw the honesty,
Mhm.
because it'd be like, hey, here's one way I can do it, here's what we can do, or here's an alternate way we can do it. You'd have to up the budget on that, and that may be more closer to the vision you're having, right?
Mhm.
And then once I started to give people genuine advice where it was genuinely like, hey, look, you don't say yes to this product, I'll be fine, like my bills will still be paid, so I am not like that desperate to get that project. I found more people wanted to come back to me, even if they usually were like, we'll think about it or we not. In the past, that was it. Like, you didn't hear
Mhm.
back. And all of a sudden it was like, oh, hey, we thought about it. We definitely want you. I've had like well, not that often, but I've had a couple of meetings where the clients were just like, we don't see the value in, and they're the ones who want to work with me. And they're
Mhm.
like, we don't see the value of flying you there or there. I was like, look, consistency is more important to your brand. I'm going to make the same video here and here. It makes sense versus you hiring local people in two
Mhm.
different states. The point is, and they couldn't see it, and I was like, that I completely understand. Then
Yeah.
that it's okay. We
It's
don't
your
have to
it's your
work
right. Yeah,
together.
it's your
Yeah,
right
and
to
I walked
choose what
away, and it was
business you
so
wanna do.
funny when they called me. They were like, "Let's do it." You
Mhm.
know what I mean? You walk away from a call where you're like, "This is never gonna happen," and that's okay. I was honest with them. I was upfront.
Yeah.
I gave them the right advice, which is to me what matters now. And it's funny enough when you get that call, you're like, oh. And even the employee was, it's funny when we were actually
Mhm.
shooting it. The guy, not the owner, the one of the employees was like, "I didn't. You definitely didn't think this was gonna happen." I was
Yeah.
like, "Nope,
Nope.
nope."
Throw
But
a
he was like,
number
"Look,
out
hey,
there and
look, you
then
guys were the best," and that's what that is. And
yeah.
I mean, and that gave me such satisfaction in that
Mhm.
moment, because I was like, see, I'm so glad I stuck to my
Yeah.
guns.
You have to
Because
sometimes.
if you're desperate, you would have been like, oh, that's fine. I'll just take the local shoot.
Mhm.
You can give the other shoot, because that's what the argument was, right? They wanted to
Yeah.
give the
And
other
then
shoot.
they would have done it, and then they would have been mad at you that it doesn't look the
Yeah,
same.
it
And
doesn't
then
match or whatever, right? And then, but what I'm saying is like by sticking to my guns and not being desperate to just be like, okay, sure, I'll just take half the shoot. It made them a better product,
Mhm.
and it made them happier, made me the right money, and at the end, everyone was happy.
Yeah.
That's just the truth. But I do get it. I don't think anyone could just start doing this. So if you're like desperate to like,
Mhm.
pay your rent, then you can't have that mindset. Even though
Yeah.
you're saying that maybe to a client, inside you're like, how can I make this work? And that's why I think the first step is to not be in that mentality. Get
Mhm.
to a scale where you can say no.
Yeah.
And I feel like, and then just don't say no just to say no. You say no for a
Yeah.
reason, right?
Especially even like starting this part time. Like I know a lot of people, even me, like I had a job, a full-time job while I was doing this part-time for a few years. Just because hey, I need rent. Like I need at least this amount of money a month to
Hmm.
make sure I'm fine. And then once you have that, then like you said, like don't get me wrong, at that time I still said yes to almost everything because
Hmm.
starting off my first couple years. But that mindset of like, hey, I don't need to do this.
Hmm.
Like I think clients once they feel that power over you. Like, hey,
Hmm. Yeah.
like, oh, I can tell this guy needs
Yeah.
it. I mean,
Yeah.
and they're bred to lowball you. They want to save money
Yeah.
for their company. That's what they want to do.
And
But
the scope keeps changing
yeah,
because
the scope always
it's
that moment you say yes, the scope starts multiplying. They want to add this, they want to add
yeah,
that.
let's also do this. Let's another half day here. That's what I'm saying.
Mhm.
You gotta always have contracts. You gotta have your scope of
Yeah,
work defined,
yeah.
because those are the clients. I find again, yeah, I've had where, and again, I've discussed this in other podcasts, but clients that pay higher value you more, and I
Hmm.
found that they will essentially give you the freedom, and then they end up getting the better products. It's
Yeah,
also the clients with lower budget.
I've noticed exactly what you're
Yeah, that doesn't
saying.
happen. Yeah.
It's like they're valuing you for your insight, they're valuing you for your skills.
Mhm.
And I think people that are lower budget, they value thinking like, oh, now I paid you, now I'm your boss.
Yeah.
Now you have to do what I say and do it how I say
Yeah.
it.
And then neither one gets the better product because they're not the expert on video.
Yeah.
And the people who they hired weren't happy.
Mhm.
So nobody gets what they
Yeah,
wanted.
it's
It's just like you got to hire experts, then you got to let them be experts
Mhm.
too.
you have to take that
And
step back because
yeah,
if you could do it yourself, you would have done it yourself.
exactly.
Or you could have done it in house. But you pay somebody 10
Yeah.
grand, 20 grand, 40 grand, 50 grand.
Yeah.
because they're gonna get the right DPs, they're gonna get the right cameras, they're gonna get the right
Yeah.
cast, and
And I mean, at the end of the day, it is a business. You are out there to make money, right? I don't know anyone's lying to their clients. I mean, I don't think you're going to your, and I mean, maybe some people are, but I'm not going to my clients and saying, look, I'm here to do charity. Like all I want to do is help you.
Yeah.
Like I have bills, I have expenses. However, I'm also there to genuinely help them, right? At the same time, I make money because I help.
Yeah.
So they gotta let me help them. If they won't let me, then I don't know how to help them. Because if I don't even know, because 90% of the time my conversation starts with, "We need a video." Okay, what does that mean, right? And so you have to dig deeper to even figure out what they want. And if there's a client who doesn't even want to communicate, then you can't solve a problem, right? Until you know what the problem is.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's what at least I find is the budgets when they get higher, that part gets easier.
Yeah.
But then here's the contrast. I meet so many video people who, when they suddenly start to climb up, then they just freaking go, "Oh, I can make more money. That means more profit." And they don't realize when you go bigger,
Nope.
you make big money, but your profit chunks actually goes down because
Yeah.
they expect you to not keep 25 of the 50 grand. They expect you to, like you said, hire the
Use it,
better crew,
Get an
better
editor,
equipment.
get
Yeah.
a grip, get a sound guy. Yeah,
Yeah,
like
that's how what will make the project worth 50 grand. Not that they just expect you to make 25 grand
Exactly,
day
yeah,
rate
yeah.
now, So there's a contrast to, I guess, both things in life. But either way, I think that's where at least what I'm noticing what happens with
100%.
clients. Yeah.
I literally got a client call back for another production, and the first shoot, what's it called? The first shoot, I sent my money. The second one, I almost doubled it because fairly, because they needed more things, they needed a longer video. But then because of that, because I need an editor, and then now I need a motion graphics guy, and then now I need an extra person on set because we're doing sound and we're doing 3-point lighting. I really look at the money I'm making as, because like I hire, like in my vision, I hire myself as well. Like, all right, this is the budget. How much am I gonna go in there for? How much my assistant? How much is the editor? And I'm making almost the same amount of money.
Yeah.
But in their eyes, I'm charging triple. But I'm really not, just because that's how scaling works.
Yeah.
You need somebody else. You can't, and sometimes you don't want to do it all yourself.
Yeah.
Like I'm not a fan of
Are
editing.
you charging a production company fee at least when you're doing that?
Yeah.
Okay, so at least you're okay. That makes sense.
But the thing is, like, that goes straight to like the production. In my mind, like I don't even see it. That just goes straight to doing whatever, and then I get mine, and then I'm kind of like you. Like that's still a big portion still goes to the production company.
Yeah.
But and I'm totally fine with that. That's just kind of like
of course
you get comfortable,
and that's how
you do it.
You got to make money. So and I'm doing the same way where it's like, oh, here's the budget. Okay, here's the production company's money. Now here's the crew I'm gonna hire. And if I'm on set, because sometimes I'm not, I'm getting other people to do it. But if I'm needed on set, then I'm gonna take my day rate out.
Yeah.
Okay, that's gonna be my day rate, and that's gonna be your day rate, or whoever's on set, right? So I think you're doing it very similar.
Exactly. Yeah. Because you have to, because like you have to keep in mind, like you're still doing that at work. You can't underpay you, or you can't overpay you. You can't be like, all right, well, 25 grand. I'm gonna hire my friends for $200 a day.
I've met people who've done that, man, and then they're like, "Why did I not get them to repeat? Like, why did they not come back?"
Like these PAs suck. They don't pay attention. Like these guys are from like fresh out of college.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. It's like you're the worst thing that I've seen on sets is like where you're in front of a client and somebody goes like like I don't know, somebody you hired, and they're like, so how do you set up this light? How do you set up the stand? You have to understand the client's perspective. They're just like, hey,
nervous.
I paid you $5 grand, 10 grand, 20 grand,
nervous.
whatever. And then now you have people on set who don't even know how to set up a light set. And they probably do. I'm just saying they don't know exactly your lighting. And that's why you got to hire people or get them comfortable or at least communicate better. Because last thing you want is your client doubting your capability.
Yeah, I think part of it, even if like, let's say you do a shoot and it's chaos on set and you're making the client nervous, but the end result is the masterpiece. They're still gonna be nervous about hiring you again.
Yeah.
Rather than, hey, you made sure they're comfortable, you made sure that the process was good. If they're gonna be on, they want the process to feel nice. They want to feel like what they're what they paid for is in good hands.
No, and that's what I talked about in our last meetup. I was like, look, I don't know if you were there. I know you had left somewhere in the
I left before your
okay, so you missed that. But that's literally because I remember I was going, where's Emmanuel? I wanted to give an example about you. And then they were like, oh, he left. I was like, oh, come on. Now I
felt
can
so
say.
bad.
So I was
felt
gonna
so
say good
bad.
stuff. Then I was like, okay, now let me say all the bad stuff.
He's like,
No.
he's not here. Finally, this guy.
Anyway, so no, but what I was talking about was I gave an example. What was I talking about? You made me lose.
We're talking about making sure the client is comfortable with
Oh
the
yeah.
work
So
you're
so
doing.
the biggest thing is obviously the hardest part of this. Thank you for the reminder. The hardest part is getting the client. Let's be
Mhm.
real. You don't have to have any video skills, nothing. The hardest part is going to client, convincing them that you're the right person for it, right?
Mhm.
Let's say you got the budget, whether you know about video or not. Then the second hardest thing is actually client experience. A lot of
Mhm.
people miss that. They go straight to the now, okay, I got to make a good video.
Yeah.
They miss that middle experience
Yeah.
because the next time the client's going to see you, right? They met you, you sold them the video, maybe you had a production call or something in the middle like a pre-production call. But outside of that, they're seeing you at the shoot for the first time. This is when you're supposed to bring whatever they're
A-game, yeah.
worth. And not saying that maybe if it's just a simple talking head, you couldn't do it with your tiny little FX3 or whatever, or your C70. The problem is the client's expectations have to match whatever the budget was.
Yeah.
And a lot of people I find forget that. They're like, well, this is good enough, right?
Mhm.
This will get them what they need. But you have to remember the clients doesn't know what each camera costs, what the card costs,
Yeah.
what the battery costs. They can only visually see.
So as well as
yeah.
like how you interact with the people you hired.
Exactly. But I'm thinking like things like, and silly stuff like how big your camera is, how big your light is, all that plays into the client experience. And I think people should focus on that. And I'm not
Yeah.
saying just bring absurdly large lights or
Yeah.
absurdly large cameras just to
As a
have
DP,
it.
the moment you get hired, if
Yeah.
you get your day rate up to 1,500, just put a map box on your camera, and then they'll be like,
yeah, exactly, man.
That 1,500 is worth
yeah,
it.
that's when you put the man box on.
Yeah, if it's less than 1,500, I keep the map box in the case. I'm like, I'm not putting the map box
You're
on.
like, I don't need it. Well, there you go. That's now I know. That's how we can go to your photos and your Instagram.
Right?
Find
You're like, wait a
where
minute.
you.
Yeah,
That's the shoot you got paid over
Yeah.
$1,500.
Like, he got paid 1,500. He got paid. Look, that one.
No.
He got paid 1,350.
Yeah.
No map box.
But that's true though, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, it's so funny. And to be real, I do use matte boxes, but I use them because I like to use HBM filters on them.
Yeah.
But however, let's be real. Even when I'm not leaving the filters, I'll just leave them on because
Yeah.
it's
The
part of the
perception.
experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, the perception to a client, the camera package, with your battery, V-mount battery, the body, the lens, the band box, handle, microphone. It looks like what they expect a camera to look like.
Yeah.
A tiny camera, even though it may be the same camera, doesn't portray to them value. And I'm not saying again any of this is correct. It's just the perception from non-video people. You have to incorporate in commercial video, play into that.
And you can still be successful without
Yeah.
doing that. But some clients do care about that more than others.
Yeah.
For sure. And I mean, I think as a DP too,
Mm-hmm.
like if you're not growing a business, if you're just a freelance DP, I think you can get away with, a certain amount
Yeah.
of like,
It
hey,
depends on the shoot. Yeah, if
Yeah,
it's
depends on the
like a
project.
social media project, I mean, don't throw a
Yeah.
mad box on it.
Mhm.
But you know what I'm trying. Obviously,
Yeah,
you
vertical,
judge
yeah.
the project. The idea is
if it's like Adidas and it's gonna go on
Mhm.
national TV,
Yeah, but even
if
that-
the audience isn't gonna see the map box, the client prefers. If you
Yeah,
do-
but even if we were just talking about like that 25 grand project where it's like the client expects the project to be worth 25 grand. And I'm not saying again all your skill isn't worth that money. I'm saying you have to match it up, hire the right crew, bring the right equipment, and also client perception, like
Yeah.
right, make them feel like the production was
Yeah.
worth the money they invested in it. And obviously ultimately they're still going to judge you in the video, but I'm saying that's the first impression you're making and it better be good. Because guess what? These companies, they will keep coming back to you if you do a good right job. And if you don't, and you may have done a great job, if they don't feel you did a good job, they're not coming back.
I'm gonna give you a real world example from last month. I got hired with one of my friends, and we flew out to a client to do a shoot. And he was telling me, he was like, yeah, they really didn't want to hire us. They kept telling like, yeah, we have people in house. We can do the video in house. And he pushed for him to do it, and they finally said yes. But they said yes like begrudgingly. They didn't. Then they really thought that they could do it themselves. And our goal was to make sure they knew like they made the right choice. We went in there. We brought the best camera equipment we had. We set everything up. We were super friendly. We made some jokes, make sure they had a good time. sat there. They were talking to the camera, make sure they were comfortable. They had a few stinkers in the first couple of takes, but then you sit down, talk to them, make sure they're comfortable, give them some water. And the whole shoot, I think it was an 8-hour shoot. They had a blast. They were even to the point where, because it was a couple, there was a point where the guy was just cracking jokes. I didn't hear him would say a joke the first hour or two, and then he just started cracking jokes. He started smiling, he started having fun. The video started going by faster. There weren't that many retakes. Everything was going great. By the time we were done, I don't even think we weren't even done yet. It was like a break time. They were like, "Yeah, when the next time we fly you out here again. We're gonna do something. I want to talk about this. We want to talk about that." And boom, we already locked them in because they were having a good time on set. We made sure they felt comfortable. We made sure that a little bit like funny, but we made sure it felt overwhelming. The camera setups. The camera setups felt like, oh shit.
Yeah,
we can't do that ourselves. They have 3-point cameras. They have a whole the road. I forgot what those are called. The road audio setups.
Yeah, the Go-Tos. No, the Pro 2s or whatever.
The thing you're using.
Oh
right
yeah,
here. The Roadcaster.
Your Roadcaster. Okay.
The other goes in audio. I never do audio. I just sit back and just thumbs up. But the whole Roadcaster, the headphones, the lighting, everything, and then they're like, oh, like we actually got our money's worth.
Yeah, exactly.
And they didn't even see the video yet. They haven't even seen the edit at all.
Exactly.
And that's what you want the client to feel. You want them to feel comfortable. I think something I always try pushing is just customer customer service. My first like 4 jobs were just customer service at theme parks, and it's just like making sure the customer feels heard, making sure they feel valued, making sure that they're having a good time, because when it's their money, they want to make sure like this was worth their money.
Yeah, I think my best example for this is Five Guys. Like absurdly, in my opinion, again, absurdly priced hamburgers, cheeseburgers. I think their burgers are priced way too high. But here's the thing: you order fries for them. It doesn't matter what size you order. They'll be half, like the same size. Let's say you order small fries. They'll put not only small fries in the box. They'll be in the same amount of fries in the bag. They purposefully give you double the fries. It's not a mistake they made.
Overdose you in fries.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But what happens is your human emotion, like I don't even want to eat those fries. But when you open the bag, you go, oh my goodness, I got a small fry or I got a medium fry. And this is like feed 5 people fries. Yeah. And obviously they charge you that in the sandwich or whatever in the burger or whatever. But the point is they made their money. That was already part of the cost. But what you ordered was a small fry.
The perception is wholly
exactly, and then instantly you go, "Oh wow, no other fast food place does that, right?" Or whatever, and you instantly are like happy about it, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's how you have to think of video production. It's obviously do the right job, right? Hire the right people with the right equipment to execute on the budget, right? However, pay a little bit of attention to, I think, the element of, like you said, the experience, because I think that will help you when you go to show the video and when you go get them to give you a review or to get them to become a repeat client or a retainer client or whatever. You will have a higher chance of success just because that first shooting experience and that whole experience in general was beyond what the expectations are. And here's some real life examples from me that I do. I always will bring an extra person. So like if the shoot says you're going to have 3 people and 2 cameras, yes, you bet they're going to have 3 cameras and, an extra person there. I always budget for an extra person. Now it may be only a PA or I'm saying a smaller extra camera, but there's always more than what I budgeted. And the advantage, because the client knows my deliverables or my contracts are very clear. This is what, because, I don't want any arguments. It clearly says like, this is what you're going to get. You're going to get, let's say 2 half-day shoots. You're going to get 3-person crew, 2 cameras, right? And lighting and sound or whatever. So they know what they're getting. So when you show up with an extra person or an extra camera and they go, oh, this is, they know this is more than that, right? And
it feels good.
Yeah, it feels good.
As someone, you
and you throw matte box on your camera. Don't forget that.
Always a matte box.
Yeah.
If you want to make them feel good, throw a matte box on them. They'll be like,
yeah, this is legit.
Like always give them more than they feel like they asked for, even though in reality, like you said, they're already paying for it.
Yeah.
Like the budget's there for a reason.
Yeah.
But make sure they feel like they're getting a little extra. And it's not gonna you're getting a little bit less.
Exactly.
But
just
you're probably gonna get that client as a retainer client or a client that comes back, and that's worth way more than an extra couple $100.
Here's what I'll tell. I think you may know this. here's what I found. Now that, again, like I said, initially when I started the production company journey, I didn't have anyone to lean on. I knew a lot of people, but nobody that wanted to share their information, which I thought were successful. Now that I know they weren't. Eventually, when I actually finally met the people who were making real money, you found out they're very open to it.
Yeah.
And that's there's one common thread that at least I found in the corporate and commercial world, people who are making 7 figures or more. They're very open to share their information, and B, they treat their clients like royalty, because most of their money is coming from 4 to 5 top clients. Like, if somebody thinks that somehow every year you're gonna get 50 new clients, so they're gonna give you $10 to $15,000 projects, you're out of their mind. I mean, maybe there's one unique case, but typically it's the same people. Tell me if I'm wrong, right?
Yeah.
It's the same people giving you work over and over again is how you make majority of your revenue.
Yeah.
Obviously, you'll get new clients. Some will become retainers. Some will not, go away from being retainer. But typically, it's your top 5 clients that will make 80%, usually 70 to 80% of your revenue, and the rest, all of the extra ones, just make the tiny amount.
Yep.
And so what you want to do is be looking for, at least that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for my next, adding to my pool of people who are actually paying my bills. And the only way you can do that is by making them happy. So they keep coming back over and over again. So you're rather...
And especially if they're good paying, like it's always a weird thing where like some people try doing more if it's low budget because they want to feel like they're adding more. But when you have bigger budget, keep that mentality. Like, hey, these guys are giving good money. Like, I don't mind singing an extra hour. Or I don't mind, hey, like, guess what? Here's some screen grabs we got. It look really good.
Exactly.
Or even if the actual person hired you isn't on set, updates.
Yeah.
They love updates.
And but no, keeping a client is way more cost effective than getting a new client. And some of the best way, man, is again, I'm a data hoarder. I tell people there's nothing more valuable as a production company than client data, which I mean by data for us is video. Like you said, sometimes what we'll do is like year end or just randomly for a client that we may not have worked for a few months, we'll just I'll tell my editors like, hey, take some footage, like throw them a quick little something, right? And then when you give it to them, they're just like, hey, they're surprised because they're not expecting that. And for us, it was maybe, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours of edit cost. But for a client, that's like, oh, hey, you repurposed that old footage to give them something. I don't know. Like, hey, we just noticed you had a 5-year celebration. Let's say they didn't hire us or they didn't even do anything major. You can quickly throw a little montage or something for social media and you send it to them. It's those little things. And I know in our group, at least people have talked about sending like physical gifts or stuff. I did try that 6-7 years ago. Like I tried to send thank you cards and stuff. But I found this digital, like using our data, was far more valuable than
using our skills.
Physical. Yeah,
a business card anyone can send. But
yeah,
like,
but I'm saying even a toy, like a gift, like a pen or some kind of bouquet of flowers. So I'm not saying physical gifts are bad, but at least for me, our data is what we have that they don't have, right? Especially as a production company, we keep all the footage.
All the footage,
and you can repurpose that and make them so much more content. And it doesn't need to be something grand, obviously spending a lot of your money on post-production. 100%. But I'm saying, I find that at least is that cherry on top where they go, frick, I got to keep coming back to this person. I got to make more videos.
Yeah, and especially like you could have just been on their mind and then they forgot about you for 6 months, 8 months, maybe a year or two. Sending that you don't know. That could be the time that they're thinking about doing a commercial, doing whatever niche you're in, and they're like, we should do this, and then boom, the video pops up right at the perfect time.
Right?
Guess who they're gonna hire?
Yeah. Or it may even not be like, oh, my buddy here at this golf course is freaking thinking about getting a video or whatever. I don't know. But yes, just do nice gestures. Again, I think the simplify is like give them a good experience.
Yeah.
During the production, definitely, and then after you've delivered. Maybe a few months after, just go above and beyond for your clients, man. Like keep them
and have a good time. It's like, like you should be friendly with your, like, it shouldn't just be only a money transaction. It shouldn't be like
just not too friendly.
Don't be too friendly.
Keep it professional.
But yeah, like it's good to see them on the street and talk. I saw a lady that hired me at a restaurant. I went and I talked to her for like 20 minutes, caught up with her. I recommended her the food I liked. it's good to see. It's like this is
Yeah.
what we do this for a living. We want to have fun. We want to make sure we have a good time. And even for the shoot in DC, for us it
Okay.
was like, yeah, like, well, technically, well,
Oh, we
like,
gotta talk about that shoot. But yeah, that was a fun shoot.
that was a fun shoot. But I mean, technically you didn't hire me, but even if Adam was there and he was there, we probably would have done the same thing. Like,
I'll
hey,
take a tiny credit.
yeah, he definitely brought me a set. So I was like, let's bring
Tiny
Vipul out.
credit.
Let's bring Vipul out. Let's explore the city and enjoy the people you're there. Even the clients, we ate with the clients.
Yeah, no, we
talked and we threw some jokes. And
So the shoot that you're talking about, we went to a few months ago. Adam, our buddy, who's gonna be on the podcast later, but he basically is making this documentary, and he brought me on as like the DP, I guess, for that first section of it. And it was in DC, and then he was like, "Hey, who do you want to bring with you?" And the first guy was like, "You got to bring Emmanuel if it's in the budget." And obviously, and I was like, "You guys obviously talk and figure it out," and it worked out.
Yeah.
But what was amazing to me was, and like what you're talking about was, normally here's at least what I do. I'm so freaking lazy. I travel, I don't know. We were last year freaking I even went to Arkansas of all things. Like it's random. Like we travel so much. So I just go freaking airport to hotel room to shoot, back to hotel room, or maybe eat out, but that's about it. Like I'm not really like looking at cities. Versus what I liked about that shoot was not only I think we made great images. I think we killed it for the equipment that we brought and the setups and everything.
Amazing.
It was just fire. But then later, if it was me, I would have just been like, all right, let's go to the room. And so I love that hanging out with you because you were like, no, let's just explore the city. And normally I would have been like, no. But it was you, and we're cool. So I was like, yeah, absolutely. And then I think I had the blast of it. Man. We were literally like late in the evening, just on those rental
DC,
bikes. Yeah,
even though I made you spend $5 for.
Oh no, dude, that was expensive. I mean, and you don't realize this because we're just having fun. We're just riding out. It was like $50-$60. They charged me for the little e-bikes or whatever it was.
Oh no, we got e-bikes. Yeah. So what we did is that it sucks that the sunset was so early, but we wrapped at like 5.
Yeah.
Dropped our camera equipment off, went straight to DC, and just drove around.
Yeah, pretty much
our bikes, and just looked at all like the national museums, went out to all the monuments, went to the Capitol, made some inappropriate jokes at the Capitol. Yeah. We rode back.
Let's not talk about that.
But yeah, it's just like I keep saying before, like you do this because you do it because you love it, and like, hey, take advantage. Like I love.
But that's an extra advantage that I don't take normally. I'm saying that was fun to do because. We're in a beautiful place. It's fall weather. DC. I think it was incredible weather.
Incredible weather. It was like red and yellow leaves falling from the trees.
And which we don't typically get in Florida.
Floridians don't get that.
We have just hot and even more hotter.
If you want to see like a natural Floridian, see any or if you want to see their jaw drop, just take him anywhere where there's red and yellow trees.
Exactly.
Tree leaves falling off, or even snow.
Yeah.
You see snow, we're like, ooh, we start clapping our hands.
Yeah. That's like my kids. Oh my god, my daughter's been like, we want to see snow. I'm like, not here. You're not gonna see any snow here.
I mean, this weekend's gonna be freezing.
Unless it's like fake. I took them ice skating. But anyway, it was beautiful weather. It was incredible shoots and incredible food too. I think the places we went to, like we had like students from Georgetown or whatever singing at the bar.
We went to Georgetown. I forgot the bar, but we went to Georgetown, and there was a cappella group.
Yeah, they were just
singing behind us.
Yeah,
and we're just there eating, having a good time, and it's the experiences that matter. And I think that whole thing, it was like a 4-day in total.
I think
with travel. It felt for me like a week because we had a whole shoot day, then we had dinner with some of the clients, and we went out, explored. And it was it's just make the most of it.
Exactly, and I think that's what I want to do more in 2025. I want to actually, and thank you for the inspiration. Yeah. When I go to these cities, actually, explore them instead of just take Emmanuel. I'm down for it.
Just make Emmanuel my tour guide.
Yeah, and but enjoy, because I think there's while you're there. enjoying. That's an extra bonus of us
Mhm.
doing what we do. If you're
Yeah.
traveling so much, might as well
Especially
experience it.
that
Yeah.
the traveling itself is such a hassle.
Yeah, no, man, that's terrible.
So
Especially with all this gear.
if I'm
Oh,
only in the airplane, then on the shoot, then on the airplane. Don't get me wrong, I love shooting, but it's exhausting either
yeah.
way. Like doing
Especially with
anything
that
is
big
exhausting.
case, man. That
That's
that
oh my god.
that
I saw it on I think B&H, and I was just like,
no, don't buy that.
I don't.
Uh,
Oh, I almost bought it for the travel one in Dallas,
Yeah.
but I was like, oh
This-
my god,
yeah.
I'll just jam my 300C in my suitcase, and
Yeah.
hopefully it doesn't break. Thank God it didn't break. But yeah, it's even dude with that Vegas one, I was so close to going to that Zed concert because I love Zed, and I think it was you, me, and then like two other people, and I was like, hey, anyone want to go to the Zed concert with me? And everyone was like, no, we're tired. I was
yeah,
like,
we went to the casino, didn't we?
no, that night we went straight home, I think.
Okay.
But I was so bummed that I was like, you guys don't want to go to these guys don't want to see because
Concert. No.
I'm a person that like I enjoy things tenfold than with somebody else.
Yeah.
Like,
Be happy we saw Hoover Dam or whatever.
We
At
did
least
see
we
Hoover
were
Dam.
able to do something.
We did see the Hoover Dam,
But
yeah.
but see, that's what I'm talking about. Like I think the exploring the towns and that's something on top of because we're already going to be working.
Yeah.
I think if we can make incredible images but also have fun, and I think that's what I like about shoots with you.
Yeah.
Typically, I find most other filmmakers are like we're like so used to traveling. We're just like hotel. Like I don't want to go see the town.
Yeah.
But you bring that energy where it's like, no, let's go explore, let's go see this, and like, and then and every time I've done it, it's like it was worth it.
It's worth it. Yeah.
It made the trip better. Like that DC trip was one of my most memorable shoots.
Yeah.
Funny enough, budget wise, it was like one of the lower ones. But when I go back and I'm like, dude, I had an incredible time. I'm telling Adam, I was like, dude, we got to do the rest of it. By the way, when we're done with this podcast, we get to watch the draft of that video. I completely forgot.
Yes.
He just sent it to me. So we get to get first look at it.
I love it.
And but that's what I'm talking about. Like
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, I'm down for it because this is the type of shoots we're talking about. Helping a buddy out, making an incredible documentary about an incredible topic that matters, that's going to bring about an impact. And we got to explore the town and hang out with each other and discuss business strategies and just fun.
I think that's an next passion that I feel like I did because we're counting that as a documentary, right? Because I know it's a little bit more corporate, but we're counting that as a documentary.
Yeah,
right?
that's a documentary.
So then that would be my third documentary. I did 3 documentaries in 2024, and then just the more I do them, the more I'm like, this is so enjoyable, and especially I think as a viewer of a finished documentary like on Netflix or whatever, you watch a documentary. Oh, cool. Okay, cool. 2-3 hours. Wow, got the story. But when you're there for each interview is like an hour, sometimes 2.
Yeah.
And even for I did one. It's called Empowered Inc. And it's about breast cancer and medical tattooing. And we interviewed, I think, 8 victims of breast cancer, survivors. And then it was like an hour interview each. So damn, like we're sitting there for a whole hour and just hearing their story, hearing them like the emotional parts. And we talked to the medical tattoo artist, we talked to the researcher. We interviewed, I think, 10 to 11 people. And imagine each of those as an hour. So that's 11 to 12 hours of content, and then all the B-roll that I'm not even going to include. And then it's all crunched down to an hour and 25 minutes.
Yeah.
So you get so much when you're a part of a documentary. And it's amazing because you can see it, and then you can see the final product. I think that's also a goal when I start pushing in 2025. Just slowly do more documentary work and pushing that.
I'm gonna put it out there since this is actually going, live. That would be like a dream. Like at this point, I've done pretty much everything in the corporate and commercial world. I feel like that could be done, at least that I'm interested in doing. But here's my other passion. I love Formula One. So if I could just do some kind of, I know Drive to Survive already exists, but I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna manifest it. If I can just do a documentary, something with Formula One. Like if somebody could just pay me, dude, I would, because that's like combining literally both my passions.
It'd be sad, bro.
Yeah, man, that's like
I think
I want to do a documentary.
I know you said like there's like 3 or 4 clients that pay like your main bills. That'd probably be the amount of budget they have. That'd be one of your main and one of your favorite. You
exactly. No, yeah, I would. So that would be one of the things which would make me drop like everything and go focus on that for a while. And again, it doesn't even have to be actually Formula One itself, but like one of the teams or somebody, I'm saying some documentary around there where I could have pit lane access or I don't know, just access to the drivers or whatever. I mean, that would be incredible.
And it just adds on to the experience. And I think that's, I wanna always remind myself like, hey, like do something new, do something creative. Cause like before I did this didn't seem real. It didn't seem like I could travel and do shoots and explore DC, explore this.
Yeah.
Now I'm doing it, but you shouldn't get comfortable with it. Like, hey, like I still do want to make movies. I still do want to make documentaries. Like, great. Like that's my next step. Like, all right, how do I get to that? What do I got to do to get better at this? What do I got to do to make better connections? So it's a great career, man. This anyone that's like nervous about starting, I think it's a great career. You just have to let it evolve you. You have to let it change you in ways of, especially how to make money and then how to make good content. Like you learn from it and then learn the parts that will keep you afloat in this crazy economy.
So what would you tell, I mean, I know it's a little cheesy thing to ask people. What I want to know, like, what would you tell yourself, if you could go back now that you've learned all this business knowledge and not just knowledge in general, what would you tell yourself 2-3 years ago when you were, coming up in it? What would you tell yourself to do then immediately instead of now?
Surround yourself as fast as you can with people that know way more about what you want to know about. That, and then also learn more of the business side, because I think it's so easy to get passionate about the visual side, and I think yes, you can get really, really good. There's this thing that I really saw a lot is like you can learn so much about a certain aspect, but then you're gonna get a thing called like diminishing returns of like how much, especially if you want to make profit. Like, hey, you can be, let's say, a B tier videographer and like knowledge. But yeah, you can be an A+ tier, but sometimes the amount of money that you'll get from B tier to A+ tier just on knowledge alone isn't going to be that great. It's more on connections, it's more on business, it's more on those other aspects. So if you're starting off, yes, the visuals and getting good at your camera and doing all this is going to make your images look great. Overall, I think the best way of getting better is just experience, just being on set and just trials. And every single time I'm on set, I learn just a tad bit more. And I'm like, okay, don't do this setting or do this setting or this is a little bit better. But that business aspect of getting to know people, getting to talk to clients, being able to close a sale will make this career, I think, easier to jump into earlier than some people do part-time, or some people even they jump into this thinking this is going to be their whole life, and then they have to go back to a full-time job or a part-time job. And it's always a bummer because we have bills to pay, we have things to pay. I don't think I could start this now with zero knowledge, with all the bills I have to pay. I'd have to do so much, full-time job, maybe even another part-time job, and then do this, this is a lot of work. And I think once we do this, we put so much hours and time into it. I don't even want to talk about how many hours I put into just research or how many nights I just spent like watching the new camera gear or the new this or the new business tactic or all the things you learn. So if I could go back, I guess to simplify it is just like be surrounded by people that know more than you, and just be their friends. Just be friendly. Be friendly with everybody you know, and then learn not just the creative side, but the business side of how you can make this a reality, because it seems all nice and glamorous from the YouTubers, especially. They make it look really nice and glamorous, but you got bills to pay, and the faster you can figure out how you can pay bills, and if you can find the middle ground of paying bills and doing your passion, I think that's where you can get a good sweet spot.
Exactly. I think you hit it right where what I tell people, man. The best thing you can do is find the people and surround yourself with the people where you want to be, right? There is nothing better you can do for yourself. You don't have to go buy courses or do something crazy. It's just those people are out there, right? You're like, hey, I want to be the best video guy, or I want to be the best editor, I want to be the best production company owner, whatever you want to be. Find people in your area who are experts in that, and then just go talk to them. I'm pretty sure most good people will accept if they're like, hey, I saw that you're a DP. I saw your work. It's incredible. I would love to learn more. Do you have some time for coffee? How about next Wednesday or Thursday? And most people, you'd be amazed, they're like down to share, especially if they're successful. They're down to share and talk about it, and they love talking about it because that's why they're successful. And then you are right there where you want to be, and that's where you ask, like, hey, tell me your story, or even better, like, what do you think I should be doing?
The perfect example is how I started working with you.
I mean, dude, that story is still amazing, and that's why I still remember it, because what was it, David's meetup, right?
Yeah.
And I was so hesitant. So by the way, one rule. So as soon as I I was a freelancer like you, so I'd seen all the negative.
Mhm.
So when I started my production company, my only thing was, no matter who I ever hire, I got to pay them something. I
Mhm.
don't want free people on my set because I don't want to take advantage of
Mhm.
anyone. I don't want anyone to be ever able to say it. But then that opportunity came, and I really wanted someone to like PA or whatever to just assist, and there was no budget for it. So they was a meetup, and I was like, look. I don't know how to bring this up, but this is an opportunity. So I already have like 6 person or whatever. We had
Mhm.
crew 5-6 per person, but right, and I would love to your perspective in a second.
Mhm.
But mine was like, hey, it's not paid, but it could lead to way more paying things.
Mhm.
And you obviously volunteered,
Mhm.
and that's what I like. I knew you again. I wouldn't have brought just anyone else from my email, just so don't email me. I knew you in person. We'd met a couple of meetups.
Yeah.
You do. I get too many emails like, can I come work with you? It's not to be
Mhm.
mean. It's like, unless I know you, and I knew you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
at that
you have to
point,
be comfortable with the
yeah,
person.
exactly.
Yeah, 100%.
And what I loved that incredible was like you were there. You were there early. You brought your gaff tape. You were ready to go. You were ready to switch roles,
Mhm.
because at the end, and as soon as that happened, I was like, you're an incredible guy to
Mhm.
work with, and that's what I needed. I didn't know anything about your skill
Mhm.
set yet, which was good. But I'm just saying, I don't know if you're a good camera guy, you're a gaffer, whatever
Yeah.
you are. I just know that you are somebody who's there and you're willing to be part of the team to do
Mhm.
whatever it gets to be done. And like I said, it was a little awkward for me, at least personally. I don't know if it was for you to just hire someone for free, because I don't like
Mhm.
that. But I hope, and like I said, that's what I want to know from you, that you got the return on your investment with me,
Yeah.
because we did what I hired you a lot. I feel
Yeah.
like for the
You
last
hired-
over 2 years.
Yeah, the past 2 years,
It-
it's yeah.
I think
and-
decent amount, I would say.
and
Yeah,
ROI 100%.
yeah, that's what I'm saying, right?
It's like one free project, and then we went to Vegas together. We've been to
Twice or thrice, like
oh, like
2-3
three
times,
times,
right?
right?
Yeah.
3 times we've been to Vegas together. DC together. We've been to Miami together. We've done a lot of projects, and
Yeah.
it's just going out, and I think dropping that ego of like, because I was
Yeah.
working, I was making
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
was
you
doing
didn't
my
need to
gigs.
do that for me,
Mhm.
but you did it, and like I said, I appreciated that.
Yeah.
And then,
And then
yeah.
kind of what like the advice I gave was like, oh, I could tell, like, oh, this guy knows more than me. This guy does this. Um, like, I'll take whatever advice he has, or like, I just want to be around him. Let me see, how I can relate to, I love, I love relating to people. I love connecting to people. So, and then we connect a lot. We always talk about either camera gear, or we're
or
always,
just
we
business or
always
anything. Yeah,
blur
with
out
video.
and just get distracted and just talk. So it was just kind of like, hey, let's, this guy obviously knows more than me. I'm down to give my services. And even to a certain extent, I'd still do that for someone that's, for people I haven't met.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
you know me, like I've done
Yeah.
pre-projects. I haven't done them in the past couple months because of the whole studio thing, but it's not bad to go out there and just put your ego down and just work with somebody and just
Yeah.
have fun with somebody and just make something together. And
Mhm.
then when you see somebody's skills, when you show off your skills, sometimes people like, they'll remember that.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
they want you back somewhere else.
And the truth is, remember, like, that happens at any level. Like, to be real, I don't know if I'll ever work for free ever again.
Mhm.
Been long time since I've done that. But if Roger Deacon called tomorrow and says, "Hey, I need an assistant
Mhm.
DP," guess what? I'm working
Yeah.
for. I don't even not need to know what the budget is. You know what I mean? It's kind of like that. Everyone has somebody or some
Formula
level.
One goes like, hey,
Yeah, exactly.
we
They're
need an
like,
extra
"Hey,
camera person.
and there's no budget, but we'll let you be, trackside or whatever." And I'm like, dude, I'm there.
Yeah.
Normally, I would never say yes to a free job, but that's what I'm
100%, yeah.
saying. It's there's always that for somebody.
Yeah, and you have to take advantage when you don't have, kind of what we were talking about before, when you don't have the privilege to say no, you got to pay rent.
Yeah.
Yes, free project might seem like I'm working and I'm doing
Yeah.
it for free, but those are probably one of the most. I think I've gotten the most work out of doing free work
Yeah.
because you connect with people and they see
Yeah.
the value you're bringing.
Exactly.
I've done more free projects that haven't led to anything, but the ones that have led to great
Yeah.
friendships, great work, a lot of knowledge you've learned, and then you bring it back to your own, and you bring it back to your
Mhm.
own skill sets,
Yeah.
your own, the way you work. The way I do a lot of my camera stuff, the way I do my 3-point lighting was based on how you showed me how to do 3-point
Yeah.
lighting, and then ever since, like, that's just how I do my 3-point
Yeah.
lighting.
It just works. And
Yeah.
it's not set rule, but yes, it works most of the time. Sometimes you just have to do different based on location.
Yeah.
But see, and that's what I love hearing, that, because and I know you never felt that, because I even asked you. I was like, I
Mhm.
hope I'm not taking advantage of you, but
No.
this is the job requirement. I just want an extra person there, and
Mhm.
I don't have the budget for them. But what's incredible is that you got something out of it, and it seems like to me we worked a lot over the last, like I said, 2 years. I think it was worth it.
Yeah.
And then if you learn anything out of it, man, like I said, it was great. And like I said, what I learned from it was from you too. It's just been, like I said, having fun on set and being open, because you never know. Because like I said, I wasn't open to the idea of having someone free on my set, being
Yeah.
real with you, and you were like that first exception in a long time, and to me it was worth it. And that's why I was
Yeah.
like, oh no, I gotta bring him more. And anytime
Yeah.
I could, now let's be real, like sometimes budgets don't work or things don't work, or location it's fly where they don't have budget to fly you. But anywhere I could, I try to bring you on,
Yeah.
because it was like, hey, you were fun, you were different, you were an extrovert.
For a
very,
few-
very
for a
much
few
what I want
months,
on a set.
I think for a few months we were working together like almost every week.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I mean, even this year, I feel like we did, I said this year, last year, we did tons of projects. I mean, like I said, we went to DC.
Yeah.
That wasn't mine, but we did
Yeah.
it together. But then
DC,
also
Miami.
the conference that we did for like 4 or 5 days together,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So I think there was a decent
Yeah.
projects. We also did a bunch of stuff for my financial client up in the villages that we did. So that was
Yeah.
decent. So
That
I
was a
mean, I
bunch.
think
Yeah, we did
yeah,
a
I think
lot.
we did a lot. I think, and
Yeah.
that was great. And that's after me going, I think he's beyond where I can hire you now,
But not even
which is
that,
great.
I think it was
mean,
mainly
yeah.
the studio took a lot of my time.
Yeah.
Studio took a lot of my time, and then I got a
Same thing. I've been kind of freaking. I've been pretty much AWOL for 3 months,
Yeah.
trying to build this space out.
Exactly, yeah.
So I get it. I mean, but ultimately, I think you and I've had a very good working relationship, and it was the best exception I ever made.
Yeah.
And like I said, I was so glad that you were willing to, do that. But yeah, so tell me more. Like, tell me more about our. I don't mean if you have anything, if you don't. But what would you say? How would you describe our working relationship? The projects we've been through. Do you think it's helped you? Obviously, that was good to know. I didn't know about the 3-point lighting thing.
Yeah.
But how would you compare? I feel like you worked in the area a lot. You've been on a lot of sets. So how would you describe my working style compared to a lot of others, or how I conduct set, or just in general? I want to know.
I think something that you bring in when you do your sets that I like a lot is you always try bringing more value than the client expects or the client does. I think you invest a lot in your equipment and your knowledge. I think a lot of people even they'll probably get paid even more than probably you or me. But they probably just don't even bring the same equipment. Or we even had a discussion before the podcast of people that have more money or have the better equipment, but then they don't know how to really use that to the best of their abilities. So it's just kind of like, hey, you put the time into it, you put the energy, you put the money into it, and then you know what you're talking about. And then I think clients know that when you talk to them, they know that you put the time into knowing your craft. You put the time into this. There isn't I don't know. There is, hey, you have this question. Here's a solution.
Yeah.
And I feel like you're very consistent at that and I think that's super inspirational for anybody that's trying to learn how to do their things. Like, hey, make sure you put time into your craft.
Yeah.
Make sure you go out there like that. I think that's also why I do spec ads. Like, hey, like let me test out my camera equipment.
Yeah.
Like I've learned so much of my cameras on either cheap projects, paid projects, or free projects. I just go and then every time I do something, you learn what rig you like. You learn this camera works. You learn what your camera's good at, what your camera's not good at. You learn how to talk to your clients.
Yeah.
So it's making sure whatever you say you put the time into just backing it up and making sure that you're confident in what you're talking about.
Well, that's good to hear, man. Because if anyone's gonna tell you the truth, it's you. Because I feel like again, we've worked so many. So if there's anything negative, feel free to get it out. I'm sure you noticed. But I feel like we worked enough the last couple of years that you should know enough about. And they were all different style of sets. We've done conferences. We've done like talking heads. We've done events. We've done, like I said, live streams. We've done documentary. I mean, very wide variety of type of projects, right? So
and it's always good to. I have a thing where I've noticed this, where I've learned to just bounce off, and I feel like I've learned to like fill out what needs to be filled out in the room.
Yeah.
So for example, like on the DC shoot, you were doing all your technical stuff, and the client was there, and I was like, okay, well, I'll make sure the client's comfortable.
Yeah.
Hey, we're doing this, just so you know. Hey, we're doing that.
Yeah, and I appreciated that because I had to literally do the remote production stuff, set up the remote producer thing. So I was like, figuring out the Wi-Fi and all that. Yeah.
It's good to be the goal is to like, hey, like you're hiring me. I want to make my goal is to make your life easier. Like my goal isn't hey, great, Vipul is hiring me. I'm making more money. No, my goal is okay, he's hiring me. What does he need?
Mhm.
Does he need this? Does he need okay, he needs 3 cameras, he needs it here, here, here. He needs
Mhm.
lighting here. He likes this lighting. I'll make sure I'll put this lighting.
Yeah.
He wants this aspect. Okay, boom. And then just use
Yeah.
your skill set to make sure they're hiring you for a reason. You hired me for a reason. You're hiring me to make sure we have a good time on set. We're making sure the image looks good, obviously priorities. The visual looks good, and then the client has a good time. And then from what I hear a lot, what people tell me is like, hey, when you're there, the client has a good time.
Yeah. And that's very important.
Yeah.
And somebody who's an introvert, I love hiring, like I said, people that are like you who are a little more extroverted than at least I am. Because I want my clients to have a good time. And if I'm so busy figuring out everything, I want to have people on set.
It's hard when you're doing the setup. And
but not to discount it, you're also very good technically. And also, listen, see, this is why I like to hire. So I don't think you don't have military background, right?
No.
But you're very similar. So I'll tell you, I like to hire people who are military or anything, or army or whatever. Because I find the biggest skill set that I've seen those people acquire is they can be leaders, but they can also follow, right? Because in military, there's a hierarchy. So no matter what, they were leader of some and then follower of some. So they're very good about it. And that's the skill set that I noticed in you, which was, like you said, you immediately, I knew, I was like, Emmanuel's worked with me. He knows exactly the kind of lighting I'm expecting.
Yeah.
And then, so I'm like, Emmanuel, hey, can you help light it up? And then I know they'll be 90% there. I may just have to tweak a little bit. And I don't have to like teach you. I never stood once there and told you I wanted this. Right? You just figured it out. Like you were able to.
Or even on sets where you're not there. I was like, okay.
Yeah,
like,
you were able to follow, right?
Yeah.
And automatically. And then, but on the same time, when I let go, like here, I'm like, oh, I'm setting the remote production stuff. You're able to lead. You realize, hey, this is what the client needs right now. And you lead. You're like, oh, they need to know what's happening, why it's happening. Exactly. And so at one point, you're a leader, but on the other side, you can do both roles, which is very, very, believe it or not, it's not that easy because you got to be able to do both.
Yeah.
And
I think in production, either if you're doing doc, narrative, or whatever, even if you have a specific position, your goal is to make sure the project goes smoothly. As long as you like make sure the project goes smooth, because sometimes, guess what, the gaffer is distracted, and that light has no sandbag.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do? Ignore it, or yell at do it yourself? Yeah, you're not doing anything right now. Do it yourself.
What? You're not gonna throw power poses? Tell them you're the DP.
I'm not gonna shout at you.
Dirt.
You asked me a question about the f stop. I'm not gonna shout at you for not knowing.
It's you or me.
It's really. I think one thing. Just me kind of going on a little bit of a tangent, but one thing I've noticed from, I guess, the American education system is that the belief of, if I just do this, I'll be successful. If I just follow the rules, if I just sit there and if I just have my head down, or if I just make sure everything is good, I'll get hired. But then, like, at least for me, that's how I grew up in America, of like, hey, high school, just do this, you'll get a good job and you'll get paid and whatever. Then you go to college, and then sometimes a lot of colleges, they keep you the same mindset. And then the moment you get out of school, you're like, okay, what do I do? And then it's just, there's so many, like, you have to have that entrepreneur mindset, I think, now more than ever. And you have to do more than one thing to be successful. You have to be able to, like what we do, it's more business talk. It's more connecting with clients. It's solving the problem. It's editing. It's video shooting. It's sometimes doing Photoshop. There's 1,000 things you have to do, and you have to take it upon yourself to learn it yourself, or ask somebody to show you the ropes. And you have to be out there and not assume just because you have the bare minimum set of skills, you deserve more than you actually do.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that's working in this generation anymore. I think we have to be better than the next person. And then that requires you to put more energy, time, and efficiency in your skill sets and who you are.
But, I don't want to get too much into it, but the thing is, what I've noticed is, again, it's the system is designed to make you a worker bee, right? It's designed for you to get your education, at least schooling, and if not, college, if you want to go in there. But ultimately, you're going to lead to go work somewhere, right? You're going to go work either at a fast food restaurant, or you're going to go work at a tech firm, or you're going to be a coder. But regardless, you're going to go become a worker bee. And I think what the world is lacking, or at least we're not training people enough, is the skill of entrepreneurship. And that is what America is based on,
Yeah.
us inventing things or building things, or I don't know, just being at the forefront of innovation. And the only ways you can do that is you have to stop and think for a second, right? As a worker bee, you're trained, okay, so here's the process, right? You do A, B,
Yeah.
C, D, and then you just do that, right? You flip your
Yeah.
burger or whatever, you put mayonnaise, you put ketchup,
They,
and then
they teach you all the way up to D, and then you get to F, and you're like,
now what?
you didn't teach me F. I'm not doing it.
Exactly. Or you're just so miserable because they're paying you less than what you can afford your rent for. So you're like, how am I
Yeah.
supposed to survive on this little place, especially in a place like Orlando, man, where it's crazy
Prices
expensive.
are skyrocketing.
Yeah.
more than ever.
So I think that's what the emphasis is. And if it's not there, then you lean toward YouTube University, because if they have that mindset, despite the system trying to make you a worker bee, the only place most people can turn up to is either someone in their life, right? Or to YouTube University to find all this knowledge. And then the problem with YouTube is there's gold on here, but at the same time, there's so much crap.
Yeah.
So the hardest part is not the information; it's filtering through the crap. Where there's people who have no experience telling you what to do to get to the golden information that you need.
Or even them telling you, like, sometimes it's gold information, but you're not even at that level yet.
Yeah.
You don't know what f-stop is. You don't know what this, like,
Yeah.
I don't, like, you, and then you have to, and then every different creator thinks different knowledge, and then it's a headache to go through, but if you're gonna have
but
to
it's
go
free
through
though.
it, yeah,
It's free. It's accessible. You can do it on your phone, which pretty much everyone has nowadays. So as long as you have the itch, but that's what I'm saying. We're not, as a system level, we're not creating the itch. But if you do have it, you can fulfill it. You don't even need college, at least for what we do.
Yeah.
You can, you just have to, like I said, dig through YouTube and find the good stuff and hopefully not watch the trash
experience.
stuff. Yeah, and then hopefully you can find some people locally around you who are willing to, take you under the wing, or at least talk to you over coffee or whatever.
Yeah. And then provide them value. 'Cause,
Exactly.
like, I don't think if I just was like, oh, I'm not getting paid, I'm only going to do this and this on that job that I did.
No,
for you,
and then I would have never hired
he
you
would have
again,
been like, well, this guy isn't. He doesn't give a crap.
there was people on that shoot that were never hired again.
Yeah.
Exactly. There you go. That's what I'm saying. It is what it is. Because they did the bare minimum, and again, I'm not saying this attitude. Also, I don't like people like taking advantage or go above and beyond. The idea is just be part of the team, man. That is simple. Obviously, we all have roles. We all have certain pay that we're getting. So I completely understand that. Like, you're like, oh, I'm not gonna obviously work 15 hours if you hired me for 4 hours. I get that, But what I'm saying is, at the same time, just work in a team. Like, again, life is simple. Let's not complicate it. You're on a set, help out.
Yeah.
Now, if it's something unreasonable, I get it. Like, obviously at that point, then you don't go back. But if it's like a little reasonable, hey, there's a few bags. Like, hey, do you mind helping load? Why not? I will help load, whether it's my set or not. Because who cares? Like, we are all working together.
It's a whole project. If you're the producer, director, if you're the one that got the gig, or if you're the PA, like, the whole goal is to make sure the project goes in smoothly.
Exactly. And I think that's the attitude that gets you successful. Obviously, you have to work on your business skills so you can be the leader and make the majority of the money. Because obviously, as a technician, you're not going to make money, right? So when I'm the producer director, I make way more money than when I'm helping other people out as a DP, right? That's just how it is. All you can ask for is a day rate, maybe travel rate, maybe expenses, right? Versus you can charge a lot more. You can charge production fee when you're doing that. So I get that. But at the same time, you're not going to improve your skills if you're just doing work for yourself, right? You have to have a balance of everything.
Yeah. And I think that's the key. And it's just kind of what I think the topic we started off in the beginning, it's balancing out what you want to do. Because like you said, like, you will make more money if you're producing, if you're the one planning out the shoots, if you're the one doing the sales. But you'll probably have more fun doing a DP if that's what you started off as.
Yeah. And it's actually the harder to be real, because guess what? Now you have to have a little bit of knowledge of everything, because if you're not producing your job, but you don't know anything about sound or lighting or whatever, now you're choosing between 5 sound for your gig. How do you pick, right? If that's what I'm saying. So as a producer, it becomes slightly harder because, at least as a skill set, as a DP, you can master it, right? You're like, okay, This is what I'm going to do. And you don't even have to own the camera. If you,
Mhm.
have like Alexa, for example, we'll say, you can learn enough and maybe even rent once, like just so
Mhm.
you practice. So now you're a skilled operator.
Yeah.
It's not that complicated. The methodology of f-stop or aperture or whatever and shutter speed and all that is the same. It translates between cameras.
Mhm.
So your framing, your composition, all that, like you don't need to relearn that. I'm saying for different camera
Yeah.
systems. But worse is when you're a producer. Now you gotta hire a good sound guy. You gotta hire a DP. You gotta
Mhm.
hire a grip. You gotta hire a gaffer.
Yeah, it's a whole
Yeah,
different
what
job
if your grip
position.
shows up with like I don't know, some kind of condition where they can't
Yeah.
lift weight? So you're like, how do you do grip work without? And I'm not like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to maneuver around
Yeah.
that.
It's crazy that the more you grow in your career, the less you have to do what you started off as. Like you
Yeah.
said, a producer, it's all those responsibilities.
Yeah.
You didn't even think about that as a DP. You just
Yeah.
get hired, you show up to set with a smile and your camera and just
Exactly. And now
support
you're
your
like,
camera.
you have to learn a little bit about everything, which
Mhm.
you may not even be interested in. Like I
Yeah.
say, let's say you're not interested in sound. So you're like, crap, now I got to learn about something I don't care about. So it's
Yeah.
a different set of challenges.
And it's like I always tell people and encourage people like, hey, if your real passion is DP and you don't want to do more than that, you can still be very successful. You can make definitely 6 figures just doing DP work. And
Yeah.
that's a good amount of money.
Yeah,
And
exactly. If that's
so
what you
all to
want
you.
and that makes you happy.
And guess what? Like less equipment, less stress, less. Because guess what? The bigger projects where I'm the head dog and I'm making the calls,
Yeah.
sometimes they're more stressful than me just showing up and
Exactly,
just
yeah.
pointing my camera.
Yeah.
It just kind of depends. And I think doing both is a good middle ground because hey, guess what? You're growing connections. You're providing a different type of value to the clients.
Yeah.
And then you can do those bigger projects you can show off and you can be like, hey, look, I did this commercial for this big company or this or that. And then if you get lucky, you can sometimes even be the DP on that if that's your favorite aspect. And then sometimes you just get a great gig as a freelance DP where all you have to do is point your camera, press record all day, and then you get the footage off and then you get paid. You go home, you're just chilling, having a good time. I personally love the mix that at least I did in 2024.
Yeah.
And I'd love to do more of both and just have those balances of jobs.
No, I think man, that's what I'm saying. This conversation is so amazing. That's what I think I would have loved to hear. What you need, and I think that's exactly where I am right now. So I started, like I said, with freelancing, where I only needed freelancing. Then I started my production company, and for years I only needed production. I would not take any job, where it was freelance or DP or anything. And then last couple of years I've been doing both, and I found this is what makes me happy because there's a balance. I'm on other sets where I'm not the boss, I'm not in charge, and I'm learning so much. I'm hanging out with creative, and like you said, less stress. It's like, oh, bring this camera package or whatever, and I'm there. Or sometimes it's not even a camera package. It's like, oh, bring the sound equipment, you're gonna do sound or whatever, or you're gonna be the gaffer. I get to have fun. I get to be, and I also get to see the other side of it. What are the requirements? Like, hey, they didn't tell me about this, or lunch wasn't good, and, crafty wasn't good. You know what I mean? Things that you learn, and then so when I go back as a producer, I'm like, oh, I gotta make sure that this is available. Like I've had in the past where gigs that I noticed when now it's like, oh, show up at 6 a.m. and then the shoot freaking doesn't start till 2, and now it's freaking midnight. It's like, what? It's been 14, 16-hour days. What are we doing? This was bad planning.
There's definitely some nightmare shoots.
Yeah, by that producer. So now when I go back to my shoot, I go, okay, I gotta plan this better. I gotta make sure that I scale the crew, schedule the crew properly.
It's a great bounce back, and it's a great like you said, like you should always learn from every shoot. And I think like what people said, like school only teaches so much, but once you're on set, your knowledge and practicality of what you're going to be doing is going to skyrocket.
Absolutely.
And I think we've all been blessed to be on sets where we've been challenged and we've learned, and now always do record, always bring the right batteries.
There's one lesson that nobody, that's most important: hit record.
Always hit record.
If you don't hit record, that's the best way to never get hired.
I've seen those memes on Instagram when it's like when you shoot a client for 2 hours and then you press the record button and then you see the record button start working. And you're like, did I just not record for the past 2? I have nightmares about that. I think I call them production nightmares when you're like,
Yeah.
oh no,
I've
I
never-
formatted the card, or I did.
Luckily, I've never done that, but I've seen other people. That's why I'm so obsessed. Like always, both camera cards, always simultaneous record, always backup in
Always,
multiple. So
always,
always back up
always,
to the
always.
cloud. I cannot lose footage. Yeah.
I've learned to appreciate some cameras and the way their buttons feel when you press the record button, because you're like,
yeah, okay.
It's recording. Some
These are
cameras,
the mushy ones,
yeah, some cameras you press record and you don't really know, and then this happened to me years ago when I was doing more event coverage. I'd press record and I get a nice panning shot and I look and it just says standby and I'm like, and then you have to do it all over again.
Or the last time, okay, something funny similar happened. I mean, it was just B-roll, but if you remember on
At
our
the DC shoot,
dude,
my God,
we got our gimbals crossed.
You gotta tell the details.
So essentially, I had a Ronin RS4 Pro and an RS3 Pro, and then the FX3C went on the 4, and then D went on 3. Point is, they were supposed to be reversed. So each were already paired.
So for the people that don't know, you can pair the gimbals to the cameras with Bluetooth, especially the FX3s. And the gimbal itself has a record button.
Yeah.
So it's great because you can press record straight on the gimbal.
Yeah, makes it a lot easier. You don't touch the camera, you don't affect the balance. And then, 5-10 minutes into our B-roll session, I'm like, why is it standby? I know, and see, it's me. I know I hit record. I'm like, this is not recording. And then I'm like, I feel awful because I'm like, what is happening here? And I do again. 2 minutes later, it's not recording. So what was happening was you were hitting record. It was stopping my recording. I was tinging your recording.
Oh my God!
It was. I'm so glad we caught quickly, so it wasn't like that bad.
It was like 5. We caught on after like 5 minutes, 5 maybe 10 minutes max.
Yeah.
But I thought the same thing. But we were both quiet because we're in front of the client.
We're not gonna say that.
We're not gonna be like, why isn't my camera recording?
See exactly why we worked so well together. We both knew what was happening. We both kept quiet.
We both kept our mouth shut. And then they were like, "Are you done with the B-roll? No, just a couple more seconds."
And then
I got the same. I did the same panning shot 4 times, making sure I got it on B-roll. And I was staring at the red button. I was like, "It says record."
Oh man, that was funny. But see, that's what I'm saying. It's like silly stuff. Even after years and years of doing this, it happens. And I don't even know how that happened. The cameras just sort of swapped. But hey, we caught on to it. We got the shot. The footage came out beautiful.
The B-roll.
So I don't want to. But
I just love that we both had this exact same reaction and we stayed completely quiet. You're like, why isn't my camera? I pressed record.
Yeah, I was like, I first time I was like, maybe I could have had a crazy jet lag. I don't know. But the second time I was like, I know for a fact I hit this record button. It's not recording. What happened? And I'm sure you were feeling the same thing. You're like, why is this?
Dude, I did a whole over the shoulder pan at the newspaper. Go back to their face and they're looking at us standby. I'm like, what? Yo, what is this? Oh, my hard work.
Anyway, that was fun day. But like I said, no harm done. We caught on to it. But
did you
again,
tell Adam that story?
No, he's gonna hear this. He's gonna have
story.
nightmares after this. He's
like,
never hiring.
Why is this B-roll so choppy? He keeps cutting at the perfect time. What's going on?
That's funny.
He
Yeah,
didn't inform me.
I wonder if he thought of that. Yeah, I would love to ask.
Well,
him about that.
he has an editor, so maybe the editor thought. The editor was like, why did they keep cutting at random times?
When they should be recording, they're cutting. That makes no sense anyway.
Like I keep seeing footage of just their feet. What's going on? Because when we were packing up, I saw my camera rolling. I was like, why is it recording? What's going on?
And thanks to my simultaneous recording, even if you delete it, it was saved. But no, man, that was funny. That was the only time I could think of I had anything like that happen. But it won't happen again ever. Yeah, for me, that's like the lesson. It can happen only once because I will fix it. Like the first time ever I did some kind of shoot. I don't do the music stuff, but it was something like 6 camera, like a music thing. Anyway, recording you could call it that, like private concert or whatever. And I did great. Remember, this is with low resources. I only had like GH4s back then or whatever. But I recorded it. The footage came out great. I'm like, dude, I'm doing shots, like cool movements. This is just me recording the whole band somehow with GoPros and camera, what I could at that time. Point is, I came home and I'm like, and I was getting paid like $600, which sounds like a lot. And I was like, oh, this is so easy. All cameras are going to be lined up. I just got to hit multicam, Final Cut. I could just hit the button and I'm done. Oh, dude, I started editing it. Guess what? Freaking thing wouldn't sync because there was so many freaking cameras,
no.
and it was, and you would think, oh, line up the waveform. Again, I'm very technically sound. There was something wrong, some frame rates. Point is, it was not freaking lining up, dude. That 20-minute edit, whatever, became a freaking 3-4 day edit. At that point, I was like, okay, this was not worth it. Now I'm working at $2 an hour because I had to manually line up everything. So it did work. It would not work automatically. And guess what?
It's the worst.
One and only time. I went in, next day I bought tentacle syncs for everything. I was like, from now on, everything will have time code. I am never again experiencing this, and I've never had that again. So, only once. But yeah, that was a nightmare. Oh, and one last one that had recently. I used to have a button just in case to burn in the LUT if you're doing a live stream or whatever. Again, I don't know why, because it's still going to the live.
Yeah.
Never had an issue because I know the button not to press it. But I think you were with me at the Miami shoot.
That what happened?
Yeah. So I think what happened is we walked away to have some snack or whatever, and somebody else was trying to adjust their camera, and they accidentally hit a button and freaking burned in the LUT. Thank goodness it was the Phantom LUT, so it's a good conversion LUT. It didn't really ruin that much. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Again, I wasn't there. We were both away. But that's what I think happened, and that kind of annoyed me. And that the first thing I did was disable that button. I was like, never again, So again, it wasn't like the end of the world. We were able to salvage it.
I remember when you told me, and then I thought so hard. I was like, I didn't press anything.
Yeah, I was like, this was S-Log 3. Why is this? I know for a fact.
I was in the settings and I pressed S-Log 3.
It makes no sense. But then you realize, somebody else messed up.
I have a horror story, and this is why I always recommend, especially if you're someone in college or if you're interested, do this for free. Trust me, like the first couple shoots, just do it for free, because I think the best mistakes to do is when you're not getting paid. The moment you're getting paid 10 grand and you make a mistake that you could be making when it's free, then it's game over. Like blacklisted from at least someone's circle. But it was like my first year, and I was doing a lot of narrative works, and I got hired to do all this is free, by the way. Got hired to do all I was getting paid was pizza. I think pizza and then like some lunches.
Pizza.
Pizza?
What type of food is that?
Get out of here. Pizza. All right. So my friend, I was shooting with my Canon M50 at the time. My friend was like, hey, I have an Atomos Ninja. You can shoot ProRes from it. So you can put it on top of the camera, connect it with a HDMI, and it will record ProRes. I was like, awesome, let's do it. The first scene was all the way... Oh yeah, the first scene was like a huge, like long take. We go there, it takes 2-3 hours. It was all the way on the beach. We shoot it, and then I get home, and then I press play on the footage. And something, if you guys never have done this, the Atomos takes a video and it records exactly what it sees on your image. So if you don't have a clean feed, it records all your settings onto the image.
Oh, so you didn't have a clean feed.
I didn't have a clean feed. And then you have to have both a clean feed. You can't have a clean feed. You can't have a detailed feed and then a clean feed.
Yeah,
because it's a cheap camera. It's like, it was $500. So the first day of the shoot, all you see is like the one. It wasn't even like, if it was like the edges, maybe I could have cropped in. It would have been an ugly crop in. But it was like the rule of third lines. Then all the settings on the side, and then the big waveform on the bottom right. And I'm just like,
oh wow! So you had to reshoot that, or you got fired? I mean, you were free, so I don't know.
I told them, I feel so bad, and they might hear this, but I told them this was like 4 years ago. I was like, hey, by the way, we might have to reshoot the thing again. And they were like, what happened? And I was like, oh, the card got a format. I was too embarrassed to ever say it. But, oh my God.
To me, I would have rather heard that other story. That sounds more fun than card got format. I was like, oh, so I have the footage, but it just has overlay on it.
I feel like,
but I mean,
my logic at the time was like, I feel like I look smarter if my card got formatted than if I had my display information on the screen the whole time. That was probably my most embarrassed. I don't think I've ever messed up that bad. But that was,
But
by the way, that was my first year. That was a
Yeah.
free shoot, and that was the best time to make that mistake.
Yeah, and that to me, that's not that bad of a. I mean, it's bad because you have to go reshoot and.
But it's only
But yeah,
one day. Imagine,
yeah,
imagine
exactly,
6
yeah.
days of shooting, and
Yeah,
then
no,
like,
that
hey,
would be
all the
bad,
footage
yeah.
is
Funny enough,
unfixable.
that's exactly what I like the Ninja monitors for. Is when I sometimes you want to record the feed, but outside of that, yeah, that's kind of
Yeah, if
crazy.
it's planned, perfect. If it's not planned, it's not gonna
that'd
be
be a nightmare.
Oh my God.
Dude, I had to worry about that with right now the setup. It's so
Mhm.
funny. Like again, even after doing this for years, I was like, I got to make sure that the ATEM gets the freaking
Yeah.
clean feed. It's gonna be.
No
we
way.
need a producer. Hey, who wants to
my
come
God.
produce this podcast for
my
me,
God.
please? Zero pay. Hey, look at that.
Even on the shoot, I had to learn the Rodecaster because the guy we were with, like it was a newer one, and he didn't. It was they had a noise gate on there, and once you edit audio, you know what a noise gate is.
Yeah.
Like you instantly catch what a noise gate is.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we have one on right now.
And we definitely have one on.
Yeah.
I'm like, but it was noticeable
Yeah.
because I don't know what was going on. It was noticeable. So it'd be because it was two people talking that were right next to each other.
Mhm.
So it's literally kind of like the setup.
Yeah.
And in the first take, we just could not figure it out. And then when the clients went back, I just was like, whatever, I'll go in there, I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And I figured it out. It was
Yeah,
it
you
was
turn off the
touchscreen,
processing. Yeah.
Yeah, and we had to turn it off individually in the mics. That's what we couldn't figure out.
Oh, you didn't. Okay. So you didn't want basically the noise gate to be on. Yeah.
Yeah, and then
Okay.
once it was off, because it kept cutting the voice.
Oh, yeah.
Noise
Which I
gate-
mean, it's happened a couple times to you, so hopefully
Yeah.
not. Yeah.
No,
Which is when I brought the mic in.
Noise gate is great as long as you know.
Yeah.
Your voice is right
Yeah.
over the line. That's gonna
Look,
cut.
this podcast is zero funds. We're not peddling anything. I'm not trying to make any money. This is just conversations. So we got to go auto a lot. So the processing is on. So I'm curious to see actually, audience. Know what feedback we get. We can always turn it off.
Give us a review.
Yeah. I mean,
You can
I would
see the
love to know
comments. Your freaking
how the
noise gate
audio
was on. It was awful. Ah.
Nobody wants to listen to you. It's
Oh my
fine.
God! You kept cutting off halfway through the important information. How to make
What
$1 million
important
bucks?
portion?
Oh my God!
Okay, I'm gonna tell you the secret. This is how tomorrow you're gonna have 20 clients.
Just what? What did he say? This guy.
Did you hear that? Just do that. Yeah.
Mhm. If you don't do that, you're not making $1 million.
Yeah. That's on you. Anyway. But no, that's kind of funny that you talk about it because, like, look, hey, we're doing this just to provide free value and just to have good conversations, man. This is the type of conversations I want to have. Even now, like I said, it doesn't matter how long I've been doing this. There's always something new to learn. There's always something better to do. And
then there's always something to reminisce on of like, oh, I did do this. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I should be proud of this. Or, oh,
Yeah.
yeah, this is how we.
Exactly.
It,
And
it brings everything in perspective. For
yeah,
sure.
or share these simple things that I learned from. My idea is like now, never use a camera without time code.
Yeah.
But that happened that one time, long time ago, and I've never had that experience. So clearly, the system works. You know, you learn from your mistakes and you never do them again. But if you're listening to a conversation like this and you already plan for those mistakes, then you'll never even have those mistakes. So it's kind of like, I don't know.
And that's what the client's paying for.
Yeah, exactly.
The reinsurance that, like, hey, if I hire you for a wedding, you're gonna get the kiss.
Yeah.
If I hire you for real estate, you're gonna have a wide angle. You're gonna know how to take a photo or how to do. Like, it's not that you know the skills, that you've done it so many times.
Yeah.
That it's a clear.
Exactly. And especially once the budgets get higher, it's on you. Like if there's $100,000 on the line, you better hit record.
Yeah.
And if not, then you don't belong in that set because
you can't go up to them and be like, hey, sorry, the
card got formatted.
Yeah, I formatted the card. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Or the clean feed. It wasn't the clean feed. It wasn't on. And
yeah, exactly.
All the I can edit the video, but you'll see a whole.
They'll see some extra
even
stuff on it.
sometimes, like as once you do this, like I've seen some videos on live, and it makes me mad when like I know they shot it like raw with no like LUT or like C-Log or S-Log, whatever,
and they leave it.
And I'm just like, why do you think this looks good? What's going on?
Yeah, please hire a colorist.
Or I don't know if you saw, this was like I think a year or two ago. There was a video on Times Square on one of the big screens, and one of the the clips, it wasn't, the warp stabilization wasn't processed. So you just see the blue line and it says warp stabilization, and it's just on Times Square, and you're just like looking at it like, what?
How did that happen?
Oh my God.
But see, that's what I'm saying. That's why would clients would pay you more. It's the
Mhm.
reliability to show up. Like, you know, I think in my last as a production company 7 years, I only canceled or delayed one shoot. Even that I didn't cancel. So somebody else was gonna come help me called in because they were like they had COVID, and that was a legit reason. At that
Mhm.
time, I was like, okay, yeah, please don't show up. But then at the same time, we can't do the first person, and they were very important. CEO of some hospital, whatever. And she was really mad. I mean, it's fair. I was like, hey, look, here's what's happening. My client and has my contractor or my cam up whatever has COVID, so I'm gonna have to delay this, but we can do this later in the day. And she was like, well, I'm not available today. Then I was like, well, then here's my exception. I will specially come out tomorrow with different crew and we'll capture you. And she was willing to do that, so it's fine. We worked it out.
Mhm.
And funny enough, I called Quentin, which who's gonna be on the podcast eventually, and then but I called him. I was like, look, dude, you're supposed to be in the shoot later, can you come earlier? And he was nice enough to come an hour or two. So the
Mhm.
second, because again, corporate, we're doing literally sometimes 10, 20 interviews in a day. So the second location after that, I was there and he was there, and we did the whole day, and made it happen. And then I had to just go back and get that one, pick up that one shoot later. But like, see, a lot of times you're working with these people who have such tight schedules and availability that you know canceling or whatever, even delaying is not an option.
Possible, yeah.
But like I said, only done it once, and even that I'm like, I wish that had not happened. But I could
Mhm.
not have predicted,
Yeah, COVID was a
the
hard
call.
time for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, that was just crazy.
Crazy
Plus,
time.
it's like you can't take that liability. I'm like, once you tell me that, I mean, even then, I'm glad he told me that because that would have been even worse bringing
Yeah.
him on. But I'm like, okay, well, at that point, I just
Mhm.
wish that I had a little earlier notification because then I would have been able to get people there
Yeah,
on
get
time.
something, yeah.
Yeah, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I think those mistakes are best early in your career.
Yeah.
Once you make those mistakes, then you know
Yeah.
for a fact you're not gonna make it again.
Yeah.
At least you now know what you're not gonna do.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why they're paying you high money, because the truth is somebody else gets COVID, you're still responsible,
Mhm.
right? And I hope that doesn't happen. But if somebody gets an accident or your tire blows in your grip man or whatever, at the end of the day, regardless, if you're the producer, I mean, you're getting the
Mhm.
big bucks, then you are responsible for making sure the shoot happens. Because
Yeah.
if they're having $100,000 loss, guess who's responsible for it? You
Mhm.
are, because if you're the producer.
Yeah, they're
So
gonna look
you
at you real funny if no one
exactly.
shows up to set or something gets canceled or even the
Yeah.
actor. Oh, the actor
Yeah.
got COVID.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, messed up
Exactly.
my money.
Yeah. Which
It's
is why you got to get insurance. You got to get, make sure, you get iron contracts from, actual attorneys that,
Mhm.
cover your butt. In these cases, you have kill
Yeah.
fees, you have, rain, whatever clauses in there. I don't know. I'm not
Mhm.
an attorney. It's not legal advice, but ask again the right professional. You got to have all these things done to protect yourself. But also, again, remember, be reliable, right? That's
Yeah.
all it is. Again, make it simple. Just be reliable. Just know you're responsible. And yeah, I think rest will just follow. I mean,
Yeah.
it's pretty straightforward from there on. Anyway, I think time to kind of wrap these things
Yeah.
up.
We'll
So
wrap it up.
I want to thank you for coming, man.
Yeah.
This
No,
was an
thanks for inviting
incredible
me.
conversation.
Yeah. Had a great time.
Anything before we go? Anything you want to ask me, or anything you want to add to it?
We covered a lot. But yeah, thanks. Do you want to shout out your studio or is it still like
Oh no,
private?
I don't peddle anything, guys. But
Alright.
why don't you shout out your Instagram?
Instagram. Yeah, you guys can find me. So I have 3 Instagrams, so feel free to follow whichever one you guys want, or you can follow all of them. But
Oh my
I
goodness,
have a
it's
production
too much
company,
peddling.
AdaptMedia.pro. We do commercials, we do corporate work. We also have if you want to hire me just as a freelance DP for documentaries, commercials, Eman Films _FL. There's another Eman Films in Texas, apparently. He took my username. And then my
How dare
studio,
you.
if you're ever in the Orlando area, if you need a photo and video studio, feel free to swing by Studio 124 near downtown in East Colonial. And that's also the Instagram too. But that's both.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Hey, please go follow him. I barely post anything on Instagram. Somebody
Mhm.
at least who does post some things.
Yeah.
So definitely, again, thank you for coming, man. I really want to thank you. I think we've had some incredible memories on set and off set the
Mhm.
last couple of years, and hopefully we'll get to continue doing this
Yeah.
next few years. And like I said, my only hope is you grow so much that
Yeah.
So far, it's been me hiring you. I want to eventually be where you're so
Yeah.
so far ahead that you're hiring me.
I can't wait to hire you in your grip truck too, and we can put it to use. We can
exactly, man.
we can show off to the clients like, hey, look
Hey,
at our
hey.
sexy car.
I will
with all this
happily
grip
put on
equipment.
your shirt, and I'll go happily impress your clients for you. That's exactly what I'm looking
That's my
forward to
dream.
doing.
Not
yeah.
buying any more camera equipment, just hiring Vipul as my camera.
Hey,
equipment
that would be
liaison.
my dream. I think we got to continue collaborating. So again, like I
Yeah.
said, thank you for coming, man, and we'll keep doing this.
Yeah.
All right, peace.
Do it. Peace.